Very good morning to all of you. This is C. Ridhima Bhatia, and I welcome to all of you on the LCC set live coaching classes for intermediate new schemes for the May 24 exam. I hope everyone is settled down, and then we'll start. I'll give you a minute to settle down, and then we can start. Today we are starting for your new topic, new chapter, new exam, which is the taxation exam, and here we'll be studying the first part, which is your income tax. So let's start. Before we go on understanding what is actually the is all about and what is the first chapter which we'll be studying, let me just give you a brief about the new scheme which would be effective and which has come through on the notification in the month of June 2023. And some small things, small updates, though regarding the pattern of examination, clarifications will come throughout the time. But just remember, this paper 3A, which is your income tax, is 50 marks and GST would be 50 marks. So direct tax and indirect tax, taxation ka ek exam hoga, direct tax 50 marks. Indirect tax 15 marks. If you are someone who has already studied the old scheme and is now appearing for the new scheme, see, just be aware of few things. First is that some of the chapters have been now diluted and mixed with other chapters. Like, for example, your exempt income chapter, which was income not included in the heads of income or in the total income, is now basically merged with respective sections of heads of income. Section 10AA has been moved to your deduction wala chapter, which is deduction from total income. And what is basic concept wala chapter, which we'll be starting from today, has sort of revamped a lot, because earlier basic concepts were all about understanding the tax, the tax area, understanding the basic definitions, and then basic computation of tax. But now, since the Finance Act has brought certain amendments regarding Section 115 BAC, and the structure of the curriculum has also revamped. So here we have included agricultural income also, we have included partial integration also. So basically, basic concept chapter, which earlier people used to neglect and say that, okay, isme se kuch nahi aayega, but now it has gained a lot of importance because of its revamping. So please, from now on, I will be joining you for at least 6 classes, which is 3 on basic concepts and 3 on residential status. And my one small request from all of you is, please participate in the class. If you have any query, please do not hesitate to ask it. And in case I miss it in all the queries which I receive, you can just resend it. You can ask it towards the end of the class. And many of you must have already studied income tax somewhere or the other. So we'll try to stick to the queries which for the topic which I am addressing. In case you have any other concern, you can put it in on the chat box or drop us a mail, and we'll be very happy to answer. Also, students, since now onwards, when you are at your intermediate level, things might be very overwhelming, because abhi tak what you were studying were accounts, your business chapters and your economic chapters, but now the things would turn more practical. The law which would be coming in your syllabus is now, which is ultimately your whole understanding, your whole practice of chartered accountancy is based on. No matter wherever you go, you cannot escape from income tax at all, because if not anything, you will be having income and you have to pay taxes on it. So you should know about it. Certainly, being a chartered accountant, we are expected to be master of everything, but it's totally fine if you choose one thing after your CA as your one particular specialization. But before that, you have to focus on everything. Take it one step at a time, because it is first time for all of you that you might be studying taxes, you might be studying various laws. So it's totally fine that if in the first stage you're understanding a very basic thing, when you will read that chapter again, any chapter for that matter, you will read it again, you will obviously see that there's an enhancement in your understanding compared to what you understood earlier. So one thing you have to remember throughout, that please stick to the concepts. Do not deviate from the concepts. अगर कुछ नहीं समझ आ रहा, ask your faculties n number of times. That's not a problem. But stick to the concept. Stick to understanding it. Devote some time to understand the backgrounds of particular laws, because ultimately, when you know the intent of any legislature, it will help you understand the legislature, because you know why it was brought in, so you can relate to the aspect of it. Okay. So with these small tips, we will start. If you have any query regarding the syllabus, please do ask. Your entire syllabus is now divided into different sections. 5 sections are there. Section 1 is about basic concepts and residential status. Section 2 is about heads of income. Section 3 is about your deductions, set off, carry forward. Section 4 is about your filing of return, TDS, TCS. And Section 5 is about computation of income as a whole. Sections, my weightage, it would be provided very soon. But if you are someone who is already studying the old scheme, as tax law never changes except for the amendments which are brought in. Just the curriculum has been revamped through other parts, and there are scenarios, and every section has certain fun learning activities, so that your learning can be made more interesting. So with that idea, this particular study material has also been developed. We'll do all those fun scenarios and etc. once the topics are over. Okay. Sure, Rituraj. I personally, I am also very a person who motivates self-practice, self-learning, and self-preparing of notes, because from today itself, you should develop a habit of writing. Problem kya hota hai? Everything we do in a flip of the study material or flip of any author book, and it's like, ye bhi aata hai, ye bhi aata hai, ye bhi aata hai, and we just skip the writing skills. And ultimately, all that matters is writing skills and presentation. So if you practice it from your day one, if you write the law from your day one, आपको language याद हो जाएगा. Because I've heard a lot of people saying कि मैम law का language book में कैसा लिखा है, we cannot write it, मैम. अरे बाबा, book में कैसा लिखा है, you will only be able to write it when you catch the main phrase, remember it, first understand it, remember it, and then only you will be able to make it in a sentence. So you don't have to worry about remembering that language. You have to first understand it, highlight the main points, and then you can automatically form a sentence out of it. Okay. Theory practical is not divided, Afreen. It's direct tax 50 marks, indirect tax 50 marks. So Amit is asking, what is the study strategy for tax? Because this is a composition of theory and practical both. See, practical you will be only able to get when your theory is solid, and theory would only be solid when you understanding and related with the practical scenarios. So first we'll focus on the concepts, and then we'll be focusing on the practical exam. Concept clarity hoga, practical questions you can do it अपने आप से, so you don't have to worry about it. हाँ, but as I said, do not get overwhelmed कि ये नहीं हो रहा. Give it time, because as I'm saying it again and again, I do not say this a lot of things in final level, because वहाँ पे in the articleship period and otherwise, they are now sort of mentally prepared about the syllabus, about different laws, and they can relate it to the practical scenarios. I'm saying it again and again at inter level because these things are extremely new to you. So do not worry. Remember to have a solid foundation and try to come back to each chapter often, so that your understanding can be refined. Every time you will read a chapter, you will understand, acha, this was the thing I was missing in the last part. Now it is more clear. Then next time when you will revisit, it would be again more clear. So it's totally perfect. Do not worry that ma'am clarity nahi aa rahi, ma'am ye nahi aa raha. Step by step, sab clear hoga, but do not create a very hypothetical scenarios in your mind. थोड़ा सा प्रैक्टिकल होने के चक्कर में एकदम आउट ऑफ द स्टेडियम मत चले जाना. ओके. Okay, so Shar, and I think everyone has this very common part. Do we have to remember the section? I think for past 6, 7 years when I've been teaching, this question never ends. So sections truly, there are some handful of sections at your level which you should know definitely, and which you should remember also. Apart from that, अगर बहुत आप you can remember all those, it nothing like that. But at least a handful of in income tax, there are some 20, 30 sections which you should know, especially when it comes to deductions. The sections are good, very important to remember. Some important section like charging section, all of these things you should remember. I will not say deviate from it altogether, but again, as every teacher would say, do not write a wrong section if you don't remember it in exam. If you don't remember it, just write as per the provisions of Income Tax Act 1961. But if you will write it, make sure you write it correct. Okay. Thank you so much, Khushi. Same here. Important chapters में नैन्जी अभी इस stage पे everything is important. Since you are learning for the first time, everything is important. Sure, I will definitely try to provide you homework so that you people are consistent. MCQs कितने marks के होंगे out of this? You will get a clarity very soon. Case scenarios आएंगे, full-fledged questions would be there. You will very soon get the clarity on the marking scheme. अभी, since we are not giving exam probably in the next 2 months, so अभी we should focus on learning. एक बारी concept clear हो जाएंगे, then you can focus on the other things. Okay. Sayyid says, ma'am, BOS books ही refer करना चाहिए. See, to be very, very, very honest, if I talk about 10 years back when I was studying, I also referred the study material. I took the study material as a Bible. Yes, for practice, I used to refer other author books, RTPs, scanners. That is totally fine. But yeah, please treat your module as Bible, because there would be certain points where there can be multiple school of thoughts. Whatever the module follows, you have to follow it. Okay? And to be very honest, the study materials have been tried actually, and the BOS has already put in a lot of effort, trust me, to make it easier for you, to make it catchy for you, to provide illustrations, to provide examples. And trust me, hardly any book out there would be in the market which would not have these questions. Rather, these questions would be there. So we give weightage to those books. I'm not saying against anything, but please take your study material as your Bible. Whatever questions are here in your study material and your RTPs and the previous year chapters and the mock test, try to do all that questions at least, if not 3 times or 4 times, at least twice. At least twice. Okay. Any other doubt? So we will start then with our first chapter. Okay, Maruti, I'll try. So there is no weightage or working notes, Athira. See, question may if it is for 10 marks, it can be 10 marks because of for the length, the time it has involved, and some of the important points it is checking out. So it's not necessary that you have to fill 5, 6 pages for a 10-mark question. But remember, always, not only for income tax, for accounts also, always remember, whatever the question is asking should be clearly visible to the examiner or to the paper checker while they're checking your exam, so that if the question is about computing the taxable income, bhai, please do not compute the tax on it. Nowhere it is required, nowhere you will get extra marks for it. And teacher would also, the person who's checking the exam would also be finding it difficult. Oh, where is the taxable income? They will say tax has been computed. So focus on whatever the question had asked and make it be part of your main answer. Otherwise, all the things should go in the working notes. The main body should be the main computation part. Other all things should go in the working notes. Now, for example, if the question is for computing the total income, you can show a basic computation of heads of income. But agar heads of income and we have applied certain things, give that in working notes. Give that in working notes. And never assume that the faculty or the teacher or the paper checker would know. Always write your assumptions. If you don't know what is the age of individual, write it that we are assuming he is below the age of 60 years. Always write your assumptions very clearly. Do not just assume and solve the question. If you're assuming something, write it clearly that I've taken this assumption. हम question से कराते हैं. We do not provide working notes. That's why do not get marks. We do not provide our assumption clearly. We do not get marks. We do not make it easy for the paper checker to find the answer. We do not get a proper marks. So they are checking thousands and thousands of copy. So you should make their life easy so that they can understand, oh, yes, this is the answer which I'm looking for. Okay. Answer सही किया, someone has asked me, मैम section गलत लिख लिया, there would be an impact on the marking. अगर कोई भी चीज एग्जाम में गलत लिखा हुआ है, it will have an impact. Okay. Yes, BPI, everything would be completed before your exam. Do not worry. And yeah, this is also very important. Thank you, Nenchi, for asking. Since this is a pan-India class going on, I have a student from SRO, NRO, CRO, WRO, ERO also, as in everyone is here from different parts of India and maybe from Nepal also and Dubai also. Our focus would be on the language, which is English, because I also don't want that people do not understand Hindi. Yes, but if you say कि मैम एक बार just give me a summary in Hindi, I can try to provide it, provided we have time on it. But otherwise, the classes would be in English and the English would be basic so that you can understand it. Okay. ठीक है. Rahul, just don't worry. Let's do it one step at a time and we'll understand it. Okay. Chalo. Great. अब एक एक करके करते हैं. आज फर्स्ट क्लास है, सीधा एग्जाम तो नहीं लिखेंगे. So let's start. So since our classes would be for roughly 2.5 hours, we will take a break after 1.5 hour around 8:10, 8:15, depending upon the topic which we are on. Okay. And 5-10 minutes ka break hoga. You can freshen up yourself, eat something out, and then come back. Few more things. I'll be referring to the module, which is a new module, which is there updated on your BOS knowledge portal. You can download it from there. It's a new study material, new scheme mein jaake download the module. Those who have studied, I'm saying again and again, those who have studied income tax earlier, please try to stay on the page where we are so that you can learn it more clearly. Secondly, majorly syllabus wise, except the amendments brought in under the Finance Act, there are no major changes. Yes, but some structural changes has happened in curriculum, which you will see, like the income part, which is exempt income part, has been included in different sections and different heads of income now. वैसे changes है, but otherwise it's not altogether the tax law has been changed. It does not happen like that. Okay. Also, please bear with my handwriting here on the tablet. I don't know why. Itna bura nahi hai. But on the tablet, I don't know why it comes like this. Okay. So, this is your chapter one, basic concepts. Now, this chapter particularly has a lot of things. It has definitions. First, you have to understand. You may find it. Why are we doing it? But first, we have to understand a framework. Like what actually is the environment, the tax environment around? What actually is tax? Why tax is there? Why there is direct tax? Why there is indirect tax? That framework has to be understood. How do we even have to understand Income Tax Act at the first place? So first we'll be understanding frameworks, then we'll be picking up certain definitions which are inevitable. That means you will be using it day in, day out in your income tax or while studying income tax. For example, what is assessee, what is person, what is assessment, what is assessment year, what is previous year, then what are different types of person like individual, HUF, AOP, company, BOI, all of that. Definitions, also one important part is agricultural income. Now, earlier agricultural income was your part of chapter 3 exempt income, but now it is included here. So agricultural income kya hota hai, what all comes in agricultural income, all of that would be covered here. After that, once you've covered the definitions and other part, we will be understanding how actually income is computed. Now, we are not going into the nitty-gritties of computing the income. We are just understanding the framework, because this computation of income is ultimately your coming 6-7 chapters. So how an income is computed, we will understand just the framework of it, just the first step of it. Then we will move on to understand the tax rates. Now, tax rates both as per section 115 BAC new scheme and old scheme or normal provisions. Okay, now since this is the default section, do not worry, we will do it. So this would be a primary focus and we will understand as per the old scheme. Then we will be understanding what is surcharge, what are rebate, what is marginal relief. This is all covered here. Then we will be understanding your partial integration. So this is the major things which are covered here, apart from certain exceptions to previous year assessment here. So this is what the particular chapter covers. Now, today's class primarily would be understanding all the important definitions, framework, agricultural income. This is my target of the class today. Next class coming up would be about understanding computation of income and tax rates. Tax rates को समझने के लिए याद करने के लिए basically I want you to have your calculators ready from the next class. Today we are meeting, since the class is on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Next class would be on next Tuesday because on Thursday we have a Eid holiday. Okay, so there would be a lot of gap between our first class and second class. So try to be consistent with what is being taught here. Also, one more thing, you might find कि मैम ये तो बहुत basic चीजें हैं, बहुत basic concept है. Why are we doing it? Why are we even studying it? Does it come even in the exam? Do we have to write the definitions? See, that is one thing, it may come or may not come. What would today class would be doing is to create your solid foundation, which would help you not only today, not only understanding income tax for intermediate level, but also to be very, very, very honest, to understand income tax throughout your life. It will be a solid foundation. And trust me when I say it, because people know how to compute the complex and the complex of the questions, but they do not know how to explain a basic terminology like what is a company or what is the definition of company or what is the framework. And trust me, this happens at the final level also. So please, even if something appears to be very basic, stay with me in the class today throughout. And trust me, by the end of it, you will definitely learn something new, something valuable. Okay. Next class would be all about computing the income, tax rates, etc. And the last class would be about surcharge, marginal relief, because these are technical, partial integration that we will be covering in the last class. Okay, this is what our target is. Now, anyone has any questions from it? Sure. Guys, I cannot say it again and again, but sorry, Hindi is prohibited for us in the sense we have strictly said that the medium should be English, but do not worry. I'll try to be slow when I speak it in English and slow as in pace. And I will try to use the basic words. You have to write your exam in English. So please try to focus on it. Okay. So first thing first, what is tax? Why there is even tax? Now, tax for not just India, but for any country is the revenue for the government. Government spends on infrastructure, providing us a safe environment, on our national security, on certain benefits to the people who are below the poverty line. They are working for the welfare. They are doing expenditure at a larger scale, at a much, much larger scale. And this we understand while we are studying economics, right? Economic में हमने पढ़ा हुआ है, economics में हमने पढ़ा हुआ है that capital expenditure होता है, government has to spend while we were understanding the concept of national income, GDP, etc. Government has to make expenditure on various things, right? But उसके लिए how the revenue come? Revenue can come from different sources by investment made by the government, by taxes. This is one of the major thing through which the government revenue comes, which is taxes. Taxes is a way, or I can say is the amount which we people pay to live in a society, to live in a country. Yes, tax rates differ for each country, but in India, the tax system is progressive. By progressive, we mean that if your income is higher, your tax rate would be higher. If your income is lower, your tax rates would be lower. But everyone has to pay a certain sort of cost, a certain sort of share for what they're earning through the system of an economy. Okay. So taxes are definitely there. Now, taxes are of two types. One is direct tax, which we call as DT. One is indirect tax. Direct tax and indirect tax, what is the difference? Direct tax is a tax which is levied directly on the income. Matlab, income I am earning, this is a tax on my earning, and I have to pay the tax. I have to pay the tax. It is my responsibility to pay the tax to the government. So when a person is earning an income or it is personally on the wealth of a person and he has to pay the tax it directly to the government, he cannot recover it from anyone. That is called direct tax. Jiska liability that person is paying. Whosoever has the liability of that tax, मतलब जिसको ultimately bear करना है वो tax, whosoever is bearing that tax is paying it to the government. Okay. But indirect tax means the liability or the burden or the bearing is done by someone else and it is paid by someone else. That is called indirect tax. Dono government ko ja rahe. Both of the taxes are going to the government. But indirect tax is ultimately when the liability is on person X and it is paid by the government, paid to the government by person Y. For example, you go to the restaurant, you eat there, you pay the GST on it. Now, GST ultimately has gone from whose pocket? Your pocket. The burden was to pay the GST was on your pocket. So, who has paid it? You have paid it. But who would deposit it to the government? Are you depositing into the government directly? No. It is being deposited by the restaurant to the government. So this is called an indirect tax, where the person who pays the tax is different from the person who would deposit it to the government. So indirectly you have paid it to the government. Here directly you are paying it to the government. So that's why it's a direct tax. And indirectly when you pay to the government, it's an indirect tax. Indirect tax is basically on consumption. If you will not consume, generally you will not pay that tax. But direct tax is on income. If you have an income, you have to pay the tax, or generally wealth. Okay? Okay. Now, why are taxes levied? Now, first of all, before moving on to that, can anyone can levy a tax? Can I levy a tax? Levy matlab, can I impose a tax? No, I cannot impose a tax. Tax can only be imposed by the government. अब ये सारा गवर्नमेंट के पास पावर कहाँ से आता है? How does this power flow to the government that you will make the tax, you will not make the tax? How does even government know what they have to do or not? गवर्नमेंट के लिए एक रूल बुक है विच इज कॉल्ड संविधान, विच इज कॉल्ड कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन ऑफ इंडिया. सो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन ऑफ इंडिया gives the power to the government, and through those power the government exercise what they have to do. They will get to know what they have to do or what they do not have to do. So government को power कौन देता है? Constitution देता है. Constitution has written that the tax would be levied, or the tax can only be recovered when it is through any law. ऐसा नहीं है कि anyone can go and recover it. There should be a law to recover tax. Number one. Number two, tax यानी both direct tax and indirect tax. Number two, अब question आता है, who will recover the tax? The government say, do we mean the central government or the state government? So वहां पे भी क्लैरिटी है. On certain matters, central government has the power to impose tax. On certain matters, state government has the power to impose tax. Like professional tax. अभी आप, if you are in some particular states, there is a tax called professional tax, which is a very nominal amount of tax which you have to pay to the government if you are into some service or if you are into some profession. That is called professional tax. That power is on the state government. State government has a power whether they have to levy the professional tax or not, whether they have to impose the professional tax or not, and what amount they can impose it. So that is a state government. Income tax को levy करने का authority is only in the hands of central government. अब ये कहाँ से आया? ये कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन से आया. So कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन के 7th schedule to article 246 से it came that central government can make the law on the matter related to income tax. Only central government can make it. Only central government has the power. The government which is at the center or the union government has the power to make law on income tax, to bring amendments to the income tax. So that's why the reason is that आपने कभी, you would not have seen anyone from the states imposing income tax or making amendments to income tax. Everything is done by our finance minister. Finance minister is a part of central government. That's why central government के पास ये authority आता है. So it's a framework. Again, no one would be asking you this in exam. This is again a part of the background, a part of a layout which we should understand it. Okay. Now, ma'am, income tax को समझने के लिए what law is there? Income tax, to understand income tax, there is one and the major law which is the Income Tax Act 1961. So Income Tax Act 1961 basically has the law relating to income tax. But again, this was back in the year of 1961. And every year the scenarios are changing. Every year something new or the other things are being developed. A cryptocurrency, guys, today it is a relevant topic. It was not there back in 1961. अब उसके लिए अगर कुछ provision you have to insert, if you have to insert some provision in relation to cryptocurrency, what you will do? You will make amendments in the Income Tax Act. And how does those amendments are made? Through Annual Finance Act. Through Annual Finance Act, जिसको हम commonly कहते हैं budget. Budget आता है every year in the month of February. In the election year, it comes twice. So through budget, some amendments are proposed in the Income Tax Act to make it relevant to the present times, to understand the concerns of the stakeholders, to value the time value of money, because money then had different value. Money today have different value, to take the impact of inflation, everything to understand it. उसमें कुछ amendments आएगा. It will come through the Annual Finance Act. We will discuss them in detail again. Now, what is income tax rule? Income tax rule, rather, in fact, most of the act are corresponded by rules. The act may, whenever something is written, it is decided that it is a matter and it should be done in the prescribed way. Prescribed way, prescribed manner. मतलब ये चीज ऐसे होनी चाहिए. Act लिखेगा what is the thing, what is the law. Rules will tell you how that law has to be performed. अब Act में लिखा है that there is exemption on house rent allowance. But how do we compute that exemption on house rent allowance? उसके लिए I have to understand the rule. Rules में the manner would be defined. And it's not only income tax has income tax rules. Companies Act has companies rules, CGST have CGST rules. So there are rules for every act, particularly basically where there is administration. So rules would tell you how a particular thing has to be administered. Okay. Then there are circulars and notifications. Now, what are circulars and notification? Now, Annual Finance Act is budget which happens once in a year, which takes care of the stakeholders, and wahan pe they make the amendment. But certain time, some clarifications have to come every now and then from the department. Some clarifications have to be come. So those clarifications come from the department. Department, guys, is Income Tax Authority, the Income Tax Department. Okay. So those clarification comes in the forms of circulars. C for circulars, C for clarifications. So every now and then they are coming. Sometimes there is a clarification on a particular definition. Sometimes there is a clarification on a provision of the act. Anything can happen and it comes through circular. Then, ma'am, what is notification? See, notification, guys, circulars clarify something. It is basically for the department as a whole, so that every person in the department follows the common understanding. Notifications, जहाँ पे act में लिखा होगा एक word as notified. Like this benefit would be given to those person as notified. अब वो benefit time के साथ साथ you have to give to different persons. The benefit has to be given to different person as and when the time arises. So how that benefit is given? Generally through notifications. Through notifications. Then there is legal decisions of court. Judicial pronouncements कह लो, case laws कह लो. I'm sorry. Judicial pronouncement, case laws, one and the same thing, legal decisions of court. Now, what is this, ma'am? Act has been formed. Amendments have been brought up. Rules are there to understand it, correct. Notifications are coming time and again to give some clarifications, to give some benefits clear. There is one line written in the law that so and so thing means so and so thing. But law actually is not very, very simple to understand. A same thing can be understood by me in some other interpretation, can be understood by you in some other interpretation. Correct? आप उसी same line का sometimes you can take the literal meaning, I can take the intent meaning. मतलब intention क्या था? And you will go by word and word that इसका actual matlab English ke according is this, right? So you can take the literal meaning, I can take any other meaning out of it. Which understanding is correct, which school of thought is correct, वो कहाँ से पता चलेगा? That comes through case laws, that comes through judicial pronouncements. Judicial pronouncements or case laws or legal decisions of the courts are sort of a path which gives us a clarity. Okay, this provision means this. And by referring to them, we can avoid further litigations. If we know that Supreme Court has already decided into this matter by saying that this thing means this, then time and again we do not have to follow something different or challenge it something different altogether. अगर Supreme Court ने बोल दिया है, so it is final that okay, this has been said and this has to be abided by in the language of or in the understanding of Supreme Court. Okay, so to understand the entire income tax, it is not just one thing which you have to refer. You have to refer at least 5, 6 different things which are coming time and again. The Act, the Finance Act, the rules, the circulars, the notifications, the case laws, everything. To prepare yourself, to update yourself, to solidify yourself. Prepare a habit to read the act in the bare form. Bare form मतलब जो act लिखा हुआ है, जो जैसे act लिखा हुआ है, but वो habit धीरे धीरे prepare होगा, धीरे धीरे it would come in your what you say routine. Abhi we will go through what is written in the study material. Okay. अब यहाँ तक कोई doubt? Case laws as such are not applicable for CA inter-examination, intermediate examinations. You don't have to refer or write any judicial pronouncement. But yeah, it would sort of where very less at some very less places, it would be just given a small clarification on. Madhav, before 1961, there was Income Tax Act 1922, which was there by the British government. Once they left, it almost took us 10 years to prepare our own Income Tax Act and bring it into effect. Srinivasan, very interesting. आप बोल रहे हो why income tax is given to center and not to state. This framework again comes from sort of a political science knowledge. Income tax is a power authority of the central government, and it is not something which the ruling party has decided. It is decided in the constitution back in 1950 when it was developed. Okay. Then कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन ने बोला स्टेट गवर्नमेंट को कुछ कुछ मैटर से रेवेन्यू आएगा, सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट को दिस मैटर से रेवेन्यू आएगा. दैट इज व्हाई इट इज देयर अथॉरिटी. बट सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट मेक्स द मेजर infrastructure because it is for the entire country. Yes, state governments also develop certain infrastructure, and central government is bound to share the revenue with different states in the forms of loans, in the forms of grants, in the forms of the share of their revenue, depending upon the size, as in the area of that particular state, population of that particular state, projects going on those particular state. So everything is not taken in the pocket of center. Center keep its share for its revenue, and then it allocates that budget to different states. Okay. सेक्शन 1 से पहले वो एक सिनेरियो वाला पार्ट है सुधारना, which you can refer it to later. We will do it. Someone asked कि अभी सर्कुलर नोटिफिकेशन सब एक एक बारी दोबारा एक्सप्लेन करूंगी. डोंट वरी, इट्स जस्ट अ बेसिक थिंग टू रिमेम्बर. डू नॉट वरी. Why budget comes twice in an election year? Because central government may change, and the new central government would prepare the budget as per their power now, their understanding about whatever they have to do in the coming years. So, इससे 2 budgets आते हैं उसमें. Now, first of all, income tax को समझने के लिए first thing is Income Tax Act 1961. Try, whenever you write income tax, try to write it as Income Tax Act 1961. Do not write Income Tax Act. Try to write the year also. 1961. 1961. Remember. Okay. Now, अब act को पढ़ते कैसे, guys? Act को पढ़ने के लिए, how do we refer to it? I'm opening one of the act for you. Just one second. Mhm. I will show you also where do you find those acts, okay? So you have to go to incometaxindia.gov.in. Someone who has referred to this site earlier, this site is revamped very recently last month. So how do you find Income Tax Act? यहाँ पे quick access में always you will find the Income Tax Act. Just click here. It will redirect you to a particular act. अब यहाँ पे act as a book नहीं मिलेगा, act as a different section मिलेगा. Remember, whenever you are selecting Income Tax Act, write Income Tax Act 1961 as amended by the Finance Act 2023. The latest Finance Act you have to see. If you want to see some other act of some other amendment of the Finance Act, you can go there. Now, one thing you have to remember, students, is before I take you more deep into this, act is actually a huge law, right? It can be small laws also. कुछ acts 4-5 pages के होते हैं. Some laws are for hundreds and hundreds of pages. So each act is divided. It will have a preamble to it. Then it would be divided into chapters. Chapters of the act. Act may be different chapters हैं. Okay, each part of the act is divided into different chapters. Then chapters के अंदर there would be sections. Now sections, friends, sections, income tax में कितने हैं? You will say, ma'am, section 1 to section 298. There is no section 299 of the Income Tax Act. No. Section 1 to 298. So आप बोलोगे कि मैम बस 300 sections है, hardly 300 sections in the act. But actually no. If you will see it in reality, it is somewhere around 900 sections. क्योंकि अब section 35 है, for example. So 35 का 30 और से 35 का 35 AD है, 35 BB है, 35 AC है. So ऐसे कर करके there are a lot of sections. Only section 35 नहीं होगा, 35 के बाद 36 नहीं आएगा, 35, 35 AD, 35 AB. So it goes in your alphabetical order. Necessary or not, मतलब every section would not have AD, AB, AB, AD and AE. No, some sections would have those parts. So the chapters are there. Chapters are divided into sections. Sections are further divided into subsections. So if subsections are then further divided into clauses, subclauses, and so on. Okay? But, how do we understand it? Let's now give you a clarity. Somewhere it would be written section 10 to, now somewhere it would be of the Income Tax Act 1961. Somewhere it would be written section 35(1). अब दोनों में फर्क क्या है? How will you call it? Section 10 यूएसए की ब्रैकेट में लिखा होता है, इसको सबसेक्शन बोलेंगे. Generally, I told you sections, subsections, and clauses and subclauses and so on. But friends, this is called as section. This is called as section 10 clause 2. And this is called as section 35 subsection 1. अब आप बोलोगे कि मैम व्हाट इज द डिफरेंस? सेक्शन 10 क्लॉज 2 बोल रही हूँ मैं, इसको सेक्शन 35 सबसेक्शन 1 बोल रही हूँ. मैम व्हाट इज दिस डिफरेंस? व्हाई आर यू क्रिएटिंग अ डिफरेंस इन दिस? Can someone, does someone know what is the difference in this? Does someone know कि मैंने दोनों को डिफरेंटली क्यों बोला? है तो लिखा एक जैसा. First of all, question is clear. I'll answer your question. Finance Act पे भी आ रही हूँ. No, one is Roman, other is English. No, no, no. I'll tell you. अब ध्यान से सुनना. This is extremely important. And trust me, people studying income tax for so many years also do not get it. Section 10. Of the moment I opened Section 10, you will see Section 10 is part of Chapter 3. Okay. Section 10 कहाँ से start हो रहा है? Computing the total income of the previous year, blah blah. First, agriculture income. इसको मैंने कहा कि 10 subsection 1 नहीं पढ़ेंगे. इसको we will understand as Section 10 clause 1. But if I open another section for you, 1 second, say Section 35. इसको हम पढ़ेंगे Section 35 subsection 1. Now you will ask him, ma'am, what is the difference in the both of it? Why are we saying it Section 1, Section 35 subsection 1, and वहां पे we are saying it as Section 10? Why is this difference, ma'am? Clause 1. It's a very simple difference. Whenever a part of section, each part of section is independent, is not related to each other, those are called clauses. Each part of the section is not related to each other, those are called clauses. But when a part of section is related to one another, it is called subsection. Up to understand Section 35, subsection 2, I first have to read subsection 1 so that I can have an understanding of what is written in subsection 2, because these are interrelated and are on the topic expenditure on scientific research. But Section 10 को समझने के लिए अगर उसका clause 2 समझना है, it is not necessary that I have to read the clause 1, because they are independent of each other. Each clause of Section 10 is giving me different types of incomes which are exempt. वहां पे they are not related, and you will see whenever there is a reference to a clause, the section first would have a basic line. It will not directly start with Section 10(1). It will have a basic line to it, some basic intro line to it, and then it will have your different parts, which is called clauses. Why? Because they are interrelated. So if they are not related, sorry. So if part of section has paragraphs which are not related to each other, has parts which are not related to each other, they are called clauses of the section. Okay. And if a section is divided into different parts and they are related to each other, they are called subsections. Simple. और आप देखोगे Section 35 subsection 1 एकदम start हो रहा है without any intro line of section 35, right? And wahan pe section 10 has a basic intro line, and then it is having different parts which are not related. Therefore, it is called section 10 clause 1, section 10 clause 2, and it's called section 35 सबसेक्शन 1. अब आप बोलोगे कि मैम लिखने में तो हम ब्रैकेट में ही लिख रहे हैं. यस, लिखने में आप उसको ऐसे ही लिख रहे हो. दैट सेक्शन 35 subsection 1 or section 10 subsection clause 2. How will it make a difference in exam? It will not make any difference in exam if you're writing it in this, but when you will be saying it in your daily life, you will have to say it as section 35 subsection 1, section 10 clause 2. Generally definition का section is section 2 in all the acts, and वहां पे every definition is independent of each other. They are called as clauses. Okay, समझ आया? यहाँ पे किसी को डिफरेंस की कब इसको बोलूंगी मैं 10 clause 2 और इसको बोलूंगी 35 1, वो एक्ट देख के समझ आएगा. वो एक्ट का परफॉर्मेंस देख के यू विल गेट इट. ओके, कोई डाउट यहाँ पे? ये पार्ट समझ आया? अभी सब सेक्शन पे भी आ रहे, डू नॉट वरी, सब कुछ आ रहा है. So when each section would be divided into different parts. When parts are interrelated, they are called subsections. When parts are not interrelated, they are called clauses. Why there is a need to classify subsection and clauses? Because खिचड़ी ना मचे guys. Pointers, life में pointers and para numbering are very important, so that there can be easy references which are made. Because act में references are made for one place to another. अब मैं वहां पे ये तो नहीं लिखूंगी in third para of section 35. No, there is no para referencing. There is always section referencing, subsection referencing, clauses referencing, sub clauses referencing, and so on. Okay? नहीं, ऐसा नहीं होता मुकेश. This does not happen. So what I told, when section 35 would start directly with a bracket, that means ये सब interrelated है. The paras division of subsection 1 and subpart 1 and part 2, which is subsection 1 and subsection 2 or subsection 1A, they are interrelated. They are called subsections. Each division of the sections are interrelated. They are called subsection. When divisions of the sections are not interrelated, they are called clauses. Okay, now we come to understanding of what is this. Ma'am, ये तो समझ आ गया that we will say this as section 35 subsection 1 because immediately it is starting with number and they are interrelated. वहां पे it's just a basic intro line and they are not related. We will call them clauses. Fine. But ma'am, then what is this called? This is called clause. Section, subsection, and then this is called clause, guys. Clause मतलब section 35 subsection 1 का clause 1. अब subsection का clause 1 होगा. अब इसके आगे कुछ और होगा, it would be called as subclause. Any further division to it would be called as subclause. Okay, section, subsection, clauses, subclauses. Just for the division of entire sections into different parts and further divided into different parts so that para numbering could be clear. यहाँ पे bullets use नहीं होती guys. हम क्या करते हैं, A, B, C, D. अगर हमें भी कोई word document बनाना होता है and we have to make it in a easier understanding format, we give them numberings. Then we give them bullets, right? This is what we do. But in law, it does not happen like it. We cannot say bullet number 2. They are divided into parts. Act is divided into chapters. Chapters are divided into sections. Sections are divided into subsections. Sometimes referred to as clause. Generally subsections. Then they are further divided. Each subsection would have different part of it, which are called clauses. हर एक clause का आगे different part होगा, which would be called a subclause. ठीक है? फनल अप्रोच चलेगा। बड़े से चैप्टर्स, सेक्शंस, सबसेक्शन, सेक्शन के पार्ट्स होंगे जिसको सबसेक्शंस कहेंगे, सबसेक्शंस के पार्ट होंगे जिनको क्लॉजेस कहेंगे, क्लॉजेस का पार्ट होगा जिसको सब क्लॉज कहेंगे। ओके, अब सॉर्टेड। नाउ क्विकली, सेक्शन 35 सबसेक्शन 1, सबसेक्शन 1 का पार्ट है आगे क्लॉज 1, क्लॉज 2, क्लॉज 2A, क्लॉज 3 एंड सो ऑन। ठीक है, so how would we will say this now if it is written like this? Section 35 subsection 1 clause 1 or clause 1 of subsection 1 of section 35, same thing. Section 35 subsection 1 clause 1 or legal language in referred to in clause 1 of subsection 1 of section 35, both are the same thing. Okay, now ma'am, what is the difference between provisions and proviso? Guys, please understand these two are different terms. Provisos and provisions. Provisions matlab what are written in the act. Whenever we say as per the provisions of Income Tax Act, matlab what is written in the act, what is written in the law. Provision matlab उसमें क्या लिखा है, that is called provisions. Provision is a very common word which we can use to refer to any section when we forget it. Okay, as per the provisions of law. मतलब लॉ में क्या लिखा है, वी विल राइट प्रोविजंस, प्रोविजंस, PROVISIONS। देन मैम व्हाट इज प्रोवाइजोस, PROVISOS, ये मतलब सेम नहीं है, दोनों सेम तो है? नो, प्रोवाइजोस आर डिफरेंट, प्रोविजंस आर डिफरेंट। प्रोविजन मतलब जो भी इस एक्ट में लिखा है दैट इज प्रोविजन। इट्स अ जनरल टर्म वी आर रेफरिंग टू व्हेन वी फॉरगेट द सेक्शन नंबर। ओके मैम, व्हाट इज प्रोवाइजो? सी, प्रोवाइजो आर सर्टेन exception you can say, or condition to a section, or condition to a clause, or condition to a subsection, anything. Provisos are exceptions or extra condition to a section. सेक्शन में लिखा हुआ है कि this benefit would be given if you make investment in so and so, in so and so university. आपको साइंटिफिक रिसर्च का बेनिफिट मिलेगा अगर आप इन्वेस्टमेंट करोगे इस पर्टिकुलर यूनिवर्सिटी में। ठीक है, दिस इज रिटन इन द सब सेक्शन। नाउ उसका एक कंडीशन है दैट प्रोवाइडेड इट शुड बी मेड इन एनी मोड अदर देन कैश। प्रोवाइडेड, अब ये जो वर्ड है ना प्रोवाइडेड, इट इज कॉल्ड प्रोवाइसोस। एक्ट में वेर एवर द वर्ड प्रोवाइडेड वुड बी रिटन, like provided further, provided, and you see it is in bold. Alignment is very important. Okay, provided matlab it is a condition, it is an extra exception or an extra condition to a particular part of a section. अब provided matlab ये proviso, any exception or condition mentioned to a particular part of a section is called proviso, and it would be called, how it would be identified, it would be identified with the word provided. Act में लिखा होगा provided. अब provided and provided further में क्या मतलब है मैम? What is provided and what is provided further? Provided is first, पहले जब provided लिखा होगा it would be first proviso. जब provided further लिखा होगा it means it is a second proviso. मतलब पहली condition and दूसरी condition. Provided, only word provided is there, it is first proviso. Provided further मतलब second proviso. हमेशा provided further से पहले there would be word provided. So पहली condition, second condition. So अब इसको technically how will we say? ध्यान से, provided further लिखा हुआ है. If I have to refer to act में लिखा है second proviso to clause 2 of subsection 1, यहाँ पे इसको you can note, okay, of section 35. अब I will say you to read second proviso to clause 2 of subsection 1 of section 35. तो आप कैसे जाओगे? You will go to section 35. Yes. You will go to subsection 1, correct? You will go to clause 2 and you will go to second proviso. So this is what we are referring to. सेक्शन 35 सबसेक्शन 1 क्लॉज 2 सेकंड प्रोवाइजो। अभी प्रोवाइजो क्लॉज का है मैम, आपने ये कैसे बोला? ये अलाइनमेंट की वजह से। दिस प्रोवाइडेड फर्दर इज इन क्लॉज 2, इसलिए इस अलाइनमेंट की वजह से दिस सेकंड प्रोवाइजो बिलोंग्स टू क्लॉज 2। I will repeat again for the final time. Chapters are divided into sections. Sections are further divided into subsections. Subsections are further divided into clauses. Clauses are further divided into subclauses. Okay. There would be some condition we have to mention or some exception which we have to mention that will come through provisos. How are provisos shown in the act? They are generally shown with the term of word provided, and this is not only for income tax act, this is for all acts. Okay, no one will tell you in so integrity. Provide, they would be the term which would be used would be provided, provided further. These terms would be used to refer to provisos. Now, how would we number the provisos in technical language? We will write it. First word provided coming, it is first proviso. Second word provided coming, it is provided further, it means second proviso. अब third proviso क्या लिखा होगा? Provided also करके, ठीक है? And it will go so on. अब आप बोलोगे कि मैम यहाँ पे भी प्रोवाइडेड लिखा है, यहाँ पे भी प्रोवाइडेड लिखा हुआ है, सो इज दिस थर्ड प्रोवाइजो और फोर्थ प्रोवाइजो? नो, दिस इज द फर्स्ट प्रोवाइजो ऑफ दिस क्लॉज, दिस इज द फर्स्ट प्रोवाइजो ऑफ दिस क्लॉज। इंडिपेंडेंसी है ना। ये किसका प्रोविजन प्रोवाइजो है? सेकंड क्लॉज का। ये किसका प्रोवाइजो है? सेकंड ए क्लॉज का। सो इट इज फर्स्ट प्रोवाइजो ऑफ क्लॉज 2A। गॉट इट? अलाइनमेंट गाइस, अलाइनमेंट देखना है किसके नीचे वो आ रहा है। Because whenever any notification or circular comes, reference is done in this manner. अब उसको समझने के लिए you have to understand what is second proviso, what is clause, what is subsection, what is section. Correct? अभी तो everything would be served to you in a plate in the form of your study material, but how do we become a better person who understand these things? Okay? समझ आया? Yes, these terms, section, subsection, clauses, ये हर जगह है. This is how you interpret the law. It is not only just for income tax. Parth, what is your query? Did I miss it? So provisions is provision मतलब आप एक general कोई लिखा हुआ है कुछ एक्ट में, आप उसको रेफर कर रहे हो। एज पर द प्रोविजंस रिटन इन द लॉ, एज पर द प्रोविजंस ऑफ द लॉ, मतलब आप लॉ को रेफर कर रहे हो। प्रोवाइजो लिखा हुआ है, if the word proviso it's written, that means you are referring to some condition of a particular part of the law, of a very particular part of the law. अब वो particular part कैसे पता चलेगा? अब जैसे here I am referring to a condition mentioned in clause 2 of subsection 1 of section 35. And which condition? Second condition. So provided further, which is the second condition of clause 2 of section 35 subsection 1. ठीक है? अब फॉर एग्जाम्पल एक और लेते हैं, एक और एग्जाम्पल लेते हैं सो दैट द पार्ट इज एब्सोल्युटली क्लियर। अब एक ये लिखा हुआ है गाइस, everyone focus here, provided, provided further, provided also, provided also, provided also, provided also, and so on, so on, so on. मैम ये क्या है? ये तो कंफ्यूज हो गया एकदम। डोंट वरी, ये जहां पे भी फर्स्ट वर्ड सिर्फ प्रोवाइडेड लिखा हुआ है दैट इज फर्स्ट प्रोवाइजो, प्रोवाइडेड फर्दर मतलब सेकंड प्रोवाइजो, provided also third proviso, then in numbering fourth proviso, fifth proviso, sixth proviso. अब मैम ये proviso किसके हैं? Is this proviso to clause 4? No, it is not a proviso to clause 4, because had it been a proviso to clause 4, it would have been in alignment. जैसे यहाँ पे this is a proviso to clause 3, it is a condition to clause 3 only. But these are not in alignment. That means ये किसके alignment में आ रहा है? We have to see that. This is coming under the alignment of subsection. So, these provisos are proviso, first proviso, second proviso, third proviso, fourth proviso, fifth proviso, sixth proviso. You have to count it, actually, honestly, to section 35, subsection 1. So, if now someone says refer to second proviso to section 35(1), तो आप कौन सा proviso refer करोगे, guys? Refer to second proviso to section 35(1). Is this the second proviso? No, this is the second proviso to the clause. So this is not my second proviso. Which is the second proviso? I will go down, 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 and then I will check, okay, this is also the proviso to the clause. This is the second proviso. This is my second proviso, which I have to refer to. समझ आया? So provided further, this is second proviso to the subsection 1. Alignment matters. This proviso is for clause 3. This proviso is in alignment of subsection 1. So this proviso is for subsection 1. Okay. And numbering कैसे होता है proviso का? Provided मतलब first proviso, provided further मतलब second proviso, provided also मतलब third proviso. And what are provisos? Provisos are certain conditions, extra conditions, or provisos are certain exception to a main provision of the. धीरे धीरे समझ आएगा, धीरे धीरे guys, do not worry again and again, I'm saying. Good. Now, explanation क्या होता है, ma'am? What is explanation? Explanation generally is a sort of what you say. Explanation, अगर मैं simple words में बोलूं, is a sort of clarification given to a particular subsection or a particular clause. अब यहाँ पे explanation लिखा हुआ है, so मतलब sub clause, again alignment matters, मतलब it's a certain clarification or a certain meaning given for only this particular clause, only this particular part. जिसके अंडर वो आ रहा होगा वो उसका कुछ clarification दे रहा है. So proviso are exceptions or conditions, extra conditions, and explanation are certain clarification. जैसे वहां पे लिखा हुआ है, उसने लिखा हुआ है trust. अब एक particular clause में लिखा हुआ है word trust. अब what is trust? वो उस particular clause के लिए क्या मतलब है? It would be given in explanation. ठीक है? The explanation are certain clarifications. Now, for the Finance Act, just 5 minutes more and then we will take the break. Okay? Okay, ma'am. Income Tax Act समझ आ गया. Probably section समझ आ गए. What is chapter, what is section, what is subsection, what is subclauses, what is clauses, what is proviso, and what is explanation. ये भी चलो समझ आ गया. And these cannot be understood honestly without referring to the bare. Okay. Now, ma'am, what is Finance Act? Finance Act, students, I told you, to bring amendments in the Act, they have to bring it through Finance Act. Any Act, not only Finance Act, any Act, if they have to come into as law, first is introduced as bill, then is offered in both houses of Parliament. Once it gets a clearance from there in majority, it goes to President, and then it becomes an Act. अब जब finance minister on 1st February comes, they produce the finance bill. They do not produce the finance act. You will never use that I am proposing a finance act. Any act before becoming an act is a bill which is proposed in the parliament. Only when it gets the assent of the parliament or it gets a clearance from the parliament after majority, it becomes, and after the assent of the president, it becomes an act. Okay? A finance act क्यों है? Finance act so that amendments can bring into the income tax act. It is there every year. अब आपके लिए which finance act is applicable? Finance Act 2023. So whatever the changes have been brought up by Finance Act 2023 in the Income Tax Act are applicable to you. Finance Act make not only income tax changes are there, friends, usme there are changes in relation to GST, customs, every changes is there. There is budget allocation, everything is there. Certain proportion of it is changes to income tax, which is a part of the finance bill, which we have to refer. Finance Act में पता चलता है कि what would be the tax rates for the coming year, what are the tax rates for the current year. So Finance Act 2023 would come on 1st February. What is happening? Why is this so slow? Would come on 1st February 2023 and would be applicable for the coming financial year, which is your financial year 23-24. Okay. Next part, हमने पढ़ा था circulars and notifications. Income tax rule, I think it is clear. It tells you how the act has to be administered. Rules क्या होते हैं? Rules बताते हैं कि कौन सी चीज कैसे करनी है, right? Games rules में भी ये होता है. वैसे income tax act के भी rules क्या है कि how a particular thing has to be done, how a particular thing has to be valued, how a particular thing has to be computed. That would be given in rules. They are certainly the guidelines of how a particular thing has to be done. Circulars and notifications, clear. Circulars are clarification. Now, what is CBDT, guys? CBDT क्या है? तो बताया ही नहीं. So what is CBDT? So ध्यान से सुनना. There is Finance Ministry of Finance, correct? इसमें there are two major departments. Expenditure department, government की बात हो रही है, guys. Expenditure department and revenue department. Expenditure department is taking care of all the expenditure. Revenue department takes care of the revenue which is coming from different field. इसमें एक होगा tax department, right? अब tax में एक होगा direct tax department and एक होगा indirect tax department. So the direct tax department is head by CBDT, Central Board of Direct Tax. Very places in the book you see the term board. अब बोर्ड का मतलब क्या? कोई किसी कंपनी का बोर्ड ऑफ डायरेक्टर्स नहीं. बोर्ड मीन्स CBDT, सेंट्रल बोर्ड ऑफ डायरेक्ट टैक्सेस. दे आर हेड पार्ट ऑफ द डायरेक्ट टैक्स ऑफ द टैक्स स्ट्रीम ऑफ द गवर्नमेंट. ठीक है. ऐसे ही IDT के लिए आई थिंक इट इज CBIEC, ऐसे कुछ है, सेंट्रल बोर्ड ऑफ इनडायरेक्ट टैक्सेस एंड कस्टम्स. हाँ ये CBIDC ऐसे कुछ. आई एम नॉट क्लियर विद द एग्जैक्ट एनक्रोनिम. सो डायरेक्ट टैक्स का हेड बोर्ड कौन सा है? CBDT. अब CBDT के अंडर आता है इनकम टैक्स डिपार्टमेंट. इनकम टैक्स डिपार्टमेंट में डिफरेंट अथॉरिटीज आर देयर, डिफरेंट लेवल्स. ठीक है. सो CBDT गिव्स द क्लैरिफिकेशंस थ्रू सर्कुलर्स. नोटिफिकेशन, सर्कुलर्स मतलब क्लैरिफिकेशंस. कुछ गाइडेंस हो सकता है, हाउ डू यू कंप्यूट अ थिंग, कुछ मतलब का क्लैरिटी हो सकता है, कुछ एम्बिग्यूटी, कुछ कंफ्यूजन होगा, उसको हटाने के लिए देयर आर सर्कुलर्स. And notifications are sort of, again, these are also sort of releases which are given by the central government or by CBDT to give some impact or to give some benefit, to give some decision which is already there in the act. Act में लिखा हुआ है कि as notified by central government. अब कुछ चीजें with time आएंगी, so government would notify it, government would inform you timely about it and it would come through notifications. ठीक है. Wherever act में लिखा हुआ है as notified, there would be places it would be written. That means there is some notification for it or there is some notification that would come for it. Okay. Central government can also issue notifications. CBDT can also issue notifications, but circulars are issued by CBDT only. Okay. एंड लीगल डिसीजंस पे तो हम आ ही गए थे. लीगल डिसीजंस आर केस लॉस. केस लॉस मतलब अब कुछ एक डिस्प्यूटेड अंडरस्टैंडिंग है. देयर इज सम डिस्प्यूटेड अंडरस्टैंडिंग. यू आर सेइंग कि इसका मतलब ये है, आई एम सेइंग इसका मतलब ये है. वी गो टू द कोर्ट. कोर्ट में डिसाइड कर लिया कि इसका मतलब वाज दिस. नाउ दिस whatever is decided by court is a guiding path for everyone else. कि कोर्ट ने इस पर्टिकुलर मैटर पे ये डिसाइड किया. सो इफ नाउ सेम मैटर हैपेंस टू यू, this is what you have to refer to, so that further litigation and further disputes now. So all the laws which are decided by the court are called decisions or pronouncements or case laws, which you refer to get a more clarity on your understanding. Okay. Obviously सबसे बड़ा लॉ फाइंडिंग अथॉरिटी कौन है? सुप्रीम कोर्ट. सुप्रीम कोर्ट का डिसीजन इज द फाइनल डिसीजन, बट अगर उस पर सुप्रीम कोर्ट का डिसीजन नहीं है, यू विल रेफर टू हाई कोर्ट. इफ हाई कोर्ट का डिसीजन इज ऑल्सो नॉट देयर, यू विल रेफर टू ट्रिब्यूनल कोर्ट. एंड अगेन दिस थिंग these अभी whatever 1 hour we have dedicated in understanding the framework, it is not only for income tax act, guys. It is for every act. It is for every act. ठीक है. So income tax framework समझ आ गया. Now we will understand with the definitions when we will join after the class, after the break, sorry. We will start with the definition of computation, but I will come later. We will start with the definition of assessing. So see you back after the break. Anyone has any doubt? No, Swethar. Since you will be preparing for exam in May 24, Finance Act 23 would be your base. Amendments which I think up to October has to be taken care of, or up to November. RTP में आपका आ जाएगा, उसमें जो भी amendments would be there, you have to take that. No, income tax rules भी एक ही बारी आए थे, guys. Very good question, Amar. Income tax rule came in 1962. It also gets amended by the Finance Act. Priyanka, what is the query? Tell me. Notwithstanding anything contained in section or subsection, matlab, this is like a law interpretation. No, anything which is not relevant to whatever is written in any part of the act. This is the main part. This is the overriding provision. Circulars not bounding on assessee, guys, because circulars are clarification given by department. क्लैरिफिकेशन है कि इसका मतलब ये है, और सारे डिपार्टमेंट के लोग इसका मतलब यही समझेंगे. असेसी के लिए इट इज नॉट बाइंडिंग, मतलब ही कैन टेक द बेनिफिट आउट ऑफ इट, बट इट्स नॉट नेसेसरी दैट ही हैज टू टेक द बेनिफिट ऑफ इट. Explanation is some part of clarification given in the act, some part of definition given in the act, some part of what do you say, reference given in the act. It's given in explanation. अब एक्ट में लिखा हुआ है कि इट शुड बी गिवन बाय अ फॉरेन ट्रस्ट, बट व्हाट इज अ फॉरेन ट्रस्ट? उस पर्टिकुलर पार्ट के लिए, उस पर्टिकुलर सेक्शन के लिए इट वुड बी गिवन इन एक्सप्लेनेशन. प्रियंका, प्रोवाइजो ऑन द अदर हैंड इज एक्सेप्शन और एक्स्ट्रा कंडीशन. इफ दिस अगर एक्ट में लिखा हुआ है आपको बेनिफिट मिलेगा व्हेन यू इन्वेस्ट इन अ पर्टिकुलर फंड, ओके, बट प्रोवाइजो में लिखा होगा दैट that particular investment should be made by so and so date, only then you will get the benefit. That is a condition, right? या आपको इसी कैश के अलावा करना है तभी you will get the benefit. That is a condition. So that is called proviso. Budget and Finance Act are same. Budget में Finance Act introduce होता है. 4 parts of Finance Act slowly you will get. अभी हम जब act rates पढ़ेंगे ना, I will refer to the parts of the Finance Act. Notes are just a reference point. Okay, Jalida? Circulars and notification, Ritika. Circular is clarification. Notification is a certain confirmation of part which is given in the book. अब वहां पे लिखा हुआ है कि this benefit would be provided to further person as notified by the government. अभी गवर्नमेंट को नहीं पता कि और क्या लोगों को बेनिफिट मिल सकता है. सो इट एज नोटिफाइड मतलब वो किसी और को भी बेनिफिट दे सकते हैं, तो वो नोटिफिकेशन के थ्रू आएगा. CBDT can only give you clarifications or some part of notifications. They are nowhere forming the law. CBDT is for your administration purpose. They are the administrating authority. कि सब कुछ जो लॉ में लिखा हुआ है वो सही से हो रहा है या नहीं हो रहा. Okay. Jalida, I've already answered about notes. It's just a basic reference point. You don't have to worry about it. What types of note I don't understand. Otherwise, that. Okay. So let's take a break and we will quickly jump to the definitions. It's sort of running slow, but no problem if you're understanding, nothing like that. See you soon. Thank you. So, welcome back after the break. Now, we are moving on to the next part of the chapter, which is now the definitions as per the Income Tax Act. Mayank, is there any doubt which I left answering? And I would be obliged if you can ask again. Elaborate judicial pronouncement. See, Mayank, judicial pronouncement, as before going on the break, I said judicial pronouncements are case laws, are legal decisions. एक ही मतलब है तीनों का जो सुप्रीम कोर्ट देता है, हाई कोर्ट देता है. Those are called judicial pronouncement or case laws. These are the legal decisions. And legal decisions, if you will say, they are not binding on you, but they are the guiding path and they are the reference point. They are our reference point. हम इनको रेफर कर सकते हैं टू गेट मोर क्लैरिटी ऑन द लॉ बिकॉज दे आर ऑलरेडी डिसाइडेड बाय द जज बाय द हाईएस्ट फैक्ट फाइंडिंग highest law finding authority. So they have some validation, they have some positioning, and that positioning has to be respected कि हाँ अगर सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने इसका मतलब निकाला है we have to refer that in the further lines. It is very rarely that Supreme Court decisions are challenged again, but yes, if something is decided by Supreme Court, it is your reference point. See, notifications are they are already a part of act. It is just notified. अगर वहां पे एक्ट में लिखा हुआ है that this exemption would be given to other persons as notified, मतलब अगर वो notify होंगे तो they will get those exemptions. Okay. इनकम टैक्स रूल. अब ऋतिका रूल क्या होता है? व्हाट इज रूल? एज यू सेड, प्लीज एक्सप्लेन इन हिंदी. व्हाट आर रूल्स? रूल्स आर if you go and play a game, rules are what? It will tell you how a particular thing has to be done. ऐसे ही इनकम टैक्स रूल में how a particular thing has to be done. अगर वैल्यूएशन करना है किसी चीज का, अगर आपको रेंट फ्री अकोमोडेशन का वैल्यू करना है तो हाउ यू विल वैल्यू इट, इट इज गिवन इन रूल. हाउ यू हैव टू कंप्यूट the exemption मिलेगा is written in the act, but compute कैसे करना उसको, it would be written in rules. Dito and everyone, finance act के parts जब हम rates discuss करेंगे ना, तब we will understand the finance act parts. Yes, ITR का extended करना वो notification से आएगा. Sarvanshu, see, if you will stick to what we have been teaching and you will practice it, definitely they would be sufficiently enough. And do not worry, the BOS would make arrangement for a query session also if you miss anything. ठीक है, अब आगे बढ़े. चलो, थैंक यू. नाउ अभी भी अगर किसी का क्वेरी मिस हो जाता है तो प्लीज डू नॉट हेजिटेट. Definitely ask it while when we are ending the class. Okay. Oh, it got hanged. 1 second. कुछ terms ना you would be listening, understanding, speaking also quite a few times, which is called assessee. ASSEE. What is assessee, guys? Assessee क्या है? Who is assessee? Taxpayer. Generally हम taxpayer term use करते हैं, या we will use the term any person. But assessee क्या है और person क्या है? What are these? Who are these people? What are assessee? What is a person? थोड़ा और clearly. See, assessee, my friend, is anyone who under the act has to give some tax or any sum to the government. assessee मतलब जिसको कोई टैक्स देना है, टैक्स पेयर को हम assessee कह सकते हैं. इन कॉमन पार्लेंस टैक्स पेयर को यू कैन से कि assessee है. बट जनरली assessee का क्या मतलब है? जिसको कोई टैक्स देना है या कोई सम देना है. Any person who is bound to give any sum or tax under the act is called assessee. So definition याद हो गया. any person by whom any tax or any sum is payable under the act is an assessee. Acha, one more thing before we go to the definitions. Sorry, one more thing coming back. Definition for the entire act, and generally in all acts, not only income tax act, बाकी acts में भी definition is always part of section 2. अगर कोई definition section 2 में लिखा हुआ है, that definition is applicable for the entire act unless specifically excluded. मतलब अगर assessee का मतलब section 2 में दिया हुआ है, that means it is that meaning is applicable for everywhere the word assessee is coming under the act. जहां जहां assessee का मतलब assessee word आ रहा है, वहां वहां ये definition applicable है until and unless वहां पे कोई और specific definition दी हुई है. Okay, तो section 2 की definition applies for the entire act. अब मैम अगर section 2 में definition नहीं दी, so it can happen if some definition is not there in section 2, then some definitions can be part of the section itself in the form of explanation. Some definitions can be part of section itself in the form of explanation. मैम एक्ट में कहीं डेफिनेशन नहीं दी किसी चीज की, then what we will do, we will understand the meaning of it through dictionary meaning, through legal decisions, and through the intent of law. If any definition is not given in the act, not given in the section, तो उसको कैसे पता चलेगा? उसका इंटेंट समझना पड़ेगा कि लॉ का इंटेंट क्या है. इनकम टैक्स का इंटेंट क्या है? टू गेट इनकम टैक्स, राइट? उस इंटेंट से we have to understand the definition particularly, and also अगर किसी लीगल अनाउंसमेंट में या लीगल डिसीजंस में वो डेफिनेशन का जिक्र हुआ है या वो अंडरस्टैंडिंग का understanding has been discussed, we have to take a reference from it. Okay, so section 2 guys give the definitions of generally all the terms. अब इसको हम कैसे पढ़ेंगे? section 2 clause 7, because each part is independent of each other. Okay, so back to the assessee definition. Assessee क्या है? Assessee is any person from whom you have to recover the tax or any sum. Tax specifically or sum मतलब कोई penalty हो गया, कुछ और हो गया, any fee which is pending. So everything comes under any other sum. So tax or any other sum is payable by a person under the act. Income tax act में उसको कोई money देना है, that person is assessee. But उसके साथ साथ assessee is also a person जिसके खिलाफ कोई proceedings चल रही है. Proceedings मतलब कोई legal action चल रहा है और कुछ procedure चल रहा है. Okay, that person is also assessee. That person is also assessee. या किसी को assessee माना जा रहा है. He is not an assessee but he is deemed to be an assessee. और assessee in default मतलब वो assessee है और उसने कुछ गलती करी, वो भी assessee माना जाएगा. So can I say assessee की definitions में 4 part है. This is how you have to remember. Anything when you have to remember it, highlight the main terms of it. Assessee, by definition में there are 4 parts. 1, a person who has to pay any tax or any sum. 1, a person against whom any proceedings are going on. 1, a person who is deemed assessee. And 1, a person, I'm writing it here, who is assessee in default. करेक्ट. अब इसको एक लैंग्वेज और एक सेंटेंस में बना लेंगे तो assessee का डेफिनेशन पूरा हो गया. assessee से बट अभी जनरल अंडरस्टैंडिंग के लिए हमारे लिए assessee कौन है? टैक्स पेड या जिसके खिलाफ कोई इनकम टैक्स प्रोसीजर चल रहा है. वो क्यों चल रहा है? या तो उसकी इनकम पे या किसी और की इनकम पे जिस पे उसको पैसे देने हैं, या कोई लॉस पे या कोई रिफंड पे. Again, guys, जब आप you will understand the entire chapters which are coming forward, and then you will again read the definition of assessee. You will be like, अरे इतना easy था, उस टाइम पे मेरे को relate नहीं हो रहा. अभी to understand it, to start off with, इतना definition पढ़ो, read and come back. Do further, come back. Do further, come back. Okay. Next is assessment. यहाँ पे एक वर्ड शुरू हुआ था, every person in respect of whom any proceeding under this act has been taken for assessment. अब assessment क्या होता है? यार assessment क्या होता है? स्कूल में assessment होता था, we used to say assessment हो रहा है. assessment क्या होता है? डिटर्मिनेशन ऑफ सम टोटल, राइट? ऐसे ही इनकम टैक्स पे असेसमेंट मतलब डिटर्मिनेशन ऑफ इनकम, determination of income. So this is the procedure by which the income is determined. Assessment is a procedure. Procedure कौन करेगा? या तो हम करेंगे या तो डिपार्टमेंट करेगा, या डिपार्टमेंट करेगा। डिपार्टमेंट डिपार्टमेंट मतलब इनकम टैक्स अथॉरिटीज करेंगी, ठीक है। बट असेसमेंट प्रोसीजर क्या है? एवरीथिंग इज कंसिडर्ड एट फाइनल लेवल, यू डोंट हैव टू वरी अबाउट। नाउ दिस इज वेरी 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 इंपॉर्टेंट, व्हिच इज कॉल्ड पर्सन। ये चीज ध्यान से गाइस, यू हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड व्हाट इज अ पर्सन। सेक्शन 2 क्लॉज 31 डिफाइंड पर्सन। सेक्शन 2 क्लॉज 31 डिफाइंड पर्सन। अगर हमने एसएससी का डेफिनेशन पढ़ा, वहां पे लिखा है एवरी पर्सन बाय whom any tax or sum of money is payable. एवरी पर्सन who, अगर उसको टैक्स देना है तो वो एसएससी बन जाता है। तो यानी अगर वो पर्सन है एंड इफ एनी सम इज ड्यू और एनी टैक्स इज ड्यू, then we call it that person as an assessee. Correct? This is what the act has written. Assessee is any person by whom any tax or any sum is due or is payable under the act. So can we say every assessee is a person, but every person may not be assessee? Can I say that? Every assessee is a person, true, but every person may not be assessee. Because वो assessee कब बनेगा? या तो any tax is payable or any tax is due or any sum is due, correct? Or any proceeding is going on against him, or he is in default, or he's a deemed assessee. So person would become an assessee only he fulfills the conditions of assessee, right? But the question now we are understanding is, what is a person actually? Whom do we refer to as a person? That is what our focus is about now. So friend, person का category is not one. हम पर्सन को क्या समझते हैं? मैं और आप चलते फिरते ह्यूमन बींग्स, राइट? ह्यूमन बींग्स को भी कॉल पर्सन। बट इनकम टैक्स एक्ट में पर्सन आर 7 different types. 7 different types: individual, HUF, company, firm, AOP, BOI, local authorities and artificial juridical person. 7 कैटेगरीज हैं पर्सन की, और ये उनकी डेफिनेशन। पर्सन इज 7 चीजें लिख दी। पर्सन इज एन इंडिविजुअल, HUF, AOP, BOI, कंपनी, फर्म, लोकल अथॉरिटी, आर्टिफिशियल जुरिडिकल पर्सन। अब अगर मैं आपको बस ये बोल दूं एंड आई विल फिनिश इट ऑफ यहाँ पे कि ओके पर्सन का डेफिनेशन इज कवर्ड, दिस इज डन। No, but we should know now who is an individual, what is an HUF, what is a company, what is a firm, what is an AOP, BOI, what is a local authority, what is an artificial juridical person. That is important. So now for the next 10-15 minutes, we will understand what are these types of categories. So individual matlab, like people like you and me, male, female, transgenders, anyone who is a walking, talking human being. Okay. So human beings are individual. Individuals are assessees. Individuals are person, and person becomes assessee when he has to pay tax or when any proceeding is going on against him. So person की definition में कौन कौन आ रहा है? Individual, HUF, company, firm, AOP, BOI, local authorities and artificial juridical person. But अब हम एक एक करके समझेंगे कि इन सब के मतलब क्या है. What all these mean? Individual हमें समझ आ गया, like Mr. X, Mr. A, Mr. B, Ridhima, Ajit, anyone, Manish, these are all your individuals, okay? So you are a taxpayer as an individual. Why categorizing a person is important? Why it is important to understand कि वो individual क्या है, HUF क्या है, company क्या है? Because सबके लिए अलग अलग tax laws हैं. सबके लिए there are different tax benefits. There are different tax rates. So it is extremely important to correctly categorize the person. So आगे से अगर income tax पे लिखा हुआ है person, that means it is referring to all of them. But if it is only written individual, that means it is referring to you, me, people like human being. Okay, so they are referring to human being. Person को मत समझना individual. Never. Person means everyone. Individual only one part of definition of a person. Then ma'am, what is HUF? Let's understand what is HUF, Hindu Undivided Family. इसको क्यों पर्सन माना गया? सबसे पहले फर्स्ट वी हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड दिस. अब इसको ना बहुत टेक्निकल है हिंदू अनडिवाइडेड फैमिली, बिकॉज this is not actually a product of income tax. Hindu undivided family is coming from Hindu law. Let me explain it. Hindu undivided family. Now, going back to our cultural roots, today we are neutral family, nuclear families and small families and etc. But income tax 1961 का formed है, and Indian values में family is very important, right? Family is everything. After all, family is everything. So ऐसा बहुत होता था that, please listen carefully, the story behind HUF. It used to happen a lot that a business is run. There is a common corpus, common capital है, but वो किसी एक बंदे का नहीं है. It is not of just one person, it is for the entire family. The business is run under a family and it is run through generations. It is not of just one person. It just not belongs to any one person. It belongs to a family. अब उसका income का बात आता था कि एक business है. So there is this shop which does not belong to one particular member of the family, but it belongs to the entire family. अब इसका इनकम को कैसे करें? शॉप का इनकम को कैसे इंडिविजुअल में डिवाइड करें? तो इसलिए कॉन्सेप्ट आया हिंदू अनडिवाइडेड फैमिली का, that when an income is generated from a common corpus मतलब capital, common capital से if any income is getting generated, that common corpus can be a property, can be any business, can be any investment, anything, and it is generated by the family as a whole. This family as a whole would be called as HUF, Hindu Undivided Family, and they would be a different category of taxpayer. Because whatever this shop is earning, my friend, does not just belong to one person, it belongs to family as a whole, can be 2-3 generations also, right? So इसलिए इस income से जो भी इस particular corpus से whatever income would be generated would not be an income of one person, but would be an income of HUF, and HUF would now be a separate category of a person. इसलिए HUF को एक different person, एक different taxable entity माना गया. That's why HUF is considered as a different taxable entity. Clear? कि why HUF a concept came? Because of the deep roots of our culture of promoting family, of running everything through family, having common business, common property, right? Which not only belongs to one particular person, but to the entire family. So that's why the concept of HUF was introduced. Because आप बोलोगे कि यहाँ पे ये X है, X के बेटे हैं, X के बेटों के बेटे हैं, और ये खाली X के इनकम नहीं है या खाली X के बेटे की इनकम नहीं है, ये पूरी फैमिली की इनकम है, तो उस पर टैक्स पूरी फैमिली देगी. तो इसलिए एक फैमिली को अलग टैक्स पेयर माना गया. फैमिली इज कंसिडर्ड एज a different taxpayer. HUF is a different taxpayer. अब यहाँ पे वर्ड्स आते हैं लाइक कर्ता, लाइक को-पार्टनर एंड लाइक मेंबर्स. अब ये क्या है? What are these terms, ma'am? So कर्ता is basically the head of the family and who is generally the eldest member. जितना ये HUF यहाँ पे समझाया जा रहा है इतना is sufficient for your understanding. बुक में एक थोड़ा सा हिंदू लॉ से थोड़ा सा एक्स्ट्रा इन्फॉर्मेशन दिया हुआ है. You can read it for your good, but abhi if you will understand this, that is more than enough. Okay. So Karta would be the eldest member of the family. Generally, he's the eldest member of the family and he is said to be AKA the manager of the family. अब किसी को तो हेड बनना पड़ेगा ना, राइट? जिसका सब डिसीजन मेकिंग पावर होगी, साइनिंग पावर होगी, that is the Karta. And generally that person is the eldest member. Then what is co-partners? Whosoever is born in that family, whosoever is born in that family, जिसका same blood to blood relation है, that is called a co-partner. That is called a co-partner. सो कर्ता का बेटा, कर्ता का बेटे का बेटा, उसके बेटे का बेटा, फोर्थ जनरेशन तक एचयूएफ चलता है. ओके, सो दैट इज कॉल्ड अ कोपास. Then what are members? Members are the person who become part of the family, not by birth, but by, say, marriage. So the daughter-in-law would be the member. She would not be the co-partner. So can I say Karta ka co-partner example, you can take son, and member ka example, you can say daughter-in-law. But daughter-in-law और son का जो बच्चा होगा, that would be a co-partner because he's born in the same family. खून का relation चल रहा है. He's born in the same family. That is called, he would be called co-partner. So anyone becoming part of the family, not by birth, but by say marriage, they are or so Bahu, even the mother, she is not the part of the family through birth. She is married into the family. So she is called member. Co-partner would be the person who are born into the same family. And son ho ya daughter ho, they are one and the same thing. So Karta ka daughter would also be a co-partner, and daughter ka bacha would be a co-partner, but daughter ka husband would be a member. Got it? Like that it will go on. अब मैम फिर को पार्टनर और मेंबर में फर्क क्या है? को पार्टनर के पास थोड़े ज्यादा राइट है बिकॉज उनका खूनी रिश्ता है, सिंपल. मेंबर्स के पास थोड़े कम राइट है. पार्टीशन कैन बी ओनली आस्क्ड बाय को पार्टनर. सो एचयूएफ को कैसे समराइज करें मैम? हाउ कैन वी समराइज एचयूएफ? Individual are one type of taxpayer, one type of assessee, one type of person. HUF if different type of different taxable entity. Reason being, it comes from a deep history of running everything as a family. Family is everything. And common purpose जो family का होता है, common capital जो family का होता है, उससे whatever income is earned is not an income of just one person, it is an income of the family itself. So family is a separate taxable entity, hence it is included as a separate taxable person in the Income Tax Act. Okay, so any income which is derived from the common corpus would be the income of the HUF. But since HUF is an artificial person, मतलब जान HUF में कहां से आएगी? जो लोग उनको मैनेज करेंगे. मैनेजर वुड बी कर्ता, person born in the family would be co-partner, person entered into family other than by birth would be members. इन सबको इस प्रॉपर्टी से इनकम्स मिलती रहेंगी, वो डिवाइड होंगी फॉर मेंटेनेंस, फॉर खर्चा पानी, राइट? एक फैमिली इमेज माइंड में रखो. व्हाट यूज्ड टू हैपन एटलीस्ट 2 जनरेशन बैक और इन अ फादर जनरेशन, एक फैमिली है, वहां से बिजनेस हो रहा है, उससे जो भी खर्चा आ रहा है उससे घर चल रहा है, राइट? सबका घर चल रहा है. दैट इज व्हाट इज कॉल्ड एचयूएफ. ये सब जो लोग हैं ये इंडिविजुअल है, ये अपनी इनकम पे रिटर्न भरेंगे. बट एचयूएफ अपनी इनकम पे टैक्स देगा और रिटर्न भरेगा. कर्ता की खुद की इनकम भी होगी ना. कर्ता माइट हैव सम इंटरेस्ट इनकम फ्रॉम एफडी. कर्ता माइट हैव सम other income. He's a doctor also, he's also having some income from a doctor too. It can happen, right? Karta is an individual खुद की रिटर्न भरेगा, but he is also a part of the family as a manager. Okay, so अलग अलग, everyone is a separate taxable entity. Got it? अब HUF इज अ कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ हिंदू अनडिवाइडेड फैमिली. इसमें जैन्स आ जाते हैं, इसमें सिख्स आ जाते हैं, इसमें बुद्धिस्ट आ जाते हैं. बट मुस्लिम अनडिवाइडेड फैमिली इज नॉट अ पार्ट ऑफ इनकम टैक्स. Anmol, just remind me, I'll do it again, okay? Ritu Banerjee, I hope your answer is clear. What would be after the death of Karta? Death of Karta के बाद जो और eldest, next eldest होगा वो कर्ता बन जाएगा. Madhav, we can say that every co-partner is a member, but every member is not a co-partner. डबल टैक्सेशन नहीं हो रहा ना ऋषिकेश. एचयूएफ का जो खुद का इनकम है, जो प्रॉपर्टी का इनकम है, या जो कॉमन कैपिटल का इनकम है, एचयूएफ इज पेइंग टैक्स ऑन दैट. इंडिविजुअल को जो इंडिविजुअल कैपेसिटी में इनकम आएगा, इंडिविजुअल कैपेसिटी में इनकम आएगा, ही विल पे टैक्स ऑन दैट. Double taxation would never happen. Do not worry about that. रितिका, यही एचयूएफ का एग्जाम्पल है. एक शॉप है जो 3 जनरेशन से रन हो रही है, उससे जो इनकम आ रहा है वो एचयूएफ की इनकम है. अब उस फैमिली में 9-10 लोग हैं. उस शॉप से वट एवर इनकम इज कमिंग इज देन फर्दर डिवाइडेड इनटू डिफरेंट पीपल, उनके मेंटेनेंस के लिए, खर्चे के लिए, एंड और मे बी पुट इट इनटू बिजनेस अगेन. करेक्ट. अब खाली आज की डेट में, प्रेजेंट टाइम्स में, खाली एक इनकम से तो घर नहीं चलता. पहले चल जाता था. अब सपोज करो यू आर अ पार्ट ऑफ दैट फैमिली. नाउ यू आफ्टर बिकमिंग चार्टेड अकाउंटेंट वुड बी अर्निंग समथिंग. अब उस फैमिली बिजनेस से जो आ रहा है, यू आर एंटाइटल्ड टू इट एज अ को पार्टनर, राइट. बट आप खुद की इनकम से जो अर्न कर रहे हो, इट इज योर इनकम एज एन इंडिविजुअल. आप उस पर टैक्स दोगे. जो फैमिली इनकम से जो हो रहा है, उस पर फैमिली टैक्स देगी एज एन एचयूएफ. कॉमन कॉर्पस मतलब कॉमन फंड, कॉमन कैपिटल जो सबको बिलोंग करती है, सिर्फ एक को नहीं. अतरम कॉमन कैपिटल विच बिलोंग्स टू एवरी मेंबर ऑफ द फैमिली, नॉट जस्ट वन. सन तो को पार्टनर है ही ना गाइस. सन कैन बिकम करता इफ देयर इज नो अदर एल्डेस्ट मेंबर. फैमिली में कर whosoever the eldest is the karta. Every person who is born into the family by birth, जिसका खूनी रिश्ता है, सिंपल, दैट इट इज अ को पार्टनर. बट इफ अ पर्सन बिकम्स पार्ट ऑफ द फैमिली थ्रू marriage, that person is not a co-partner, that person is a member. We do not use the word co-partner. और इतनी अंडरस्टैंडिंग सफिशिएंट है फॉर योर फ्यूचर ऑल्सो एंड फॉर टुडे ऑल्सो. Yes, two income tax return Gandhi would be filed, one for the HUF for the income which is derived from HUF, and one for the person who is an individual for the income which is deriving in his individual capacity. Deemed to be ऐसे धीरे धीरे समझेंगे. Do not worry. A member, a co-pastor only will become karta, member will not become a karta. Adopted son के लिए अलग अलग केस लॉज हैं. कुछ कहते हैं कि yes, he's a co-partner, otherwise some say they are not. Daughter, अब daughter करता बन सकती है. You can say. Sarvanshu, what is your query? Step relatives को generally नहीं, they do not take it as a family. Subsection have clauses also, Tushar. Either ulta. ठीक है, अब आगे बढ़ते हैं. एचयूएफ हो गया. Another category of person is company. They are all different person, guys. They are not just one category. Individual is different. HUF is different. Now, what is a company? Company income tax में, अब again I'm telling you, इनको समझना is extremely important because provisions differ from for each category of person. Okay. Now, what is a company? Let's understand. Company is incorporated. First of all, फैमिली तो हमेशा से होती है, तो एचयूएफ इज नेवर इनकॉर्पोरेटेड, but a company is incorporated. It takes legal birth only when it is incorporated through any Companies Act. Through any Companies Act. So any entity which is born under the Companies Act is a company. A company can be private limited, private limited, or a public company. It is immaterial अभी के लिए for understanding the meaning of company, but you have to understand कि कोई भी Companies Act या Corporate Act चल रहा होगा because Companies Act came in 1956. उससे पहले वी सी ना कि 100 साल पुरानी कंपनीज है, तो एनी कॉर्पोरेट एक्ट और एनी एक्ट विच वॉज देयर फॉर कंपनीज और एनी एक्ट विच वॉज देयर एज पर द स्टेट, वो उस एक्ट में लीगली बॉन्ड होना चाहिए. मतलब लीगली बॉन्ड मतलब they take birth only when all the formalities as per that act is fulfilled. That is when a company is born. कोई भी कंपनीज एक्ट जो उस टाइम पे रेलिवेंट था उसके अकॉर्डिंग वो कंपनी बॉन्ड. अब कंपनी इज अ वर्ड, कंपनी का क्या मतलब होता है? व्हेन टू और मोर पीपल आर कमिंग टुगेदर, दे पुट इन कैपिटल एंड नाउ द बिजनेस इज रन. ओके, and company is born as per the Companies Act. Remember that, or any corporate act. अब कंपनी में क्या होगा? कैपिटल कौन डालता है? शेयर होल्डर्स. किसमें डालेंगे? कंपनी में कैपिटल डालेंगे, राइट? दे आर ओनली गिविंग द कैपिटल. अब कंपनी क्या करता है उस कैपिटल को? इट इन्वेस्ट इन डिफरेंट थिंग्स, डिफरेंट बिजनेसेस, एंड देन दे अर्न इनकम. अब वो इनकम शेयर होल्डर्स का है. इज दैट इनकम ऑफ शेयर होल्डर्स? नो, दैट इनकम इज ऑफ द कंपनी. That income is of the company, and company hence is assessed as a separate tax entity, as a separate taxable person. ठीक है. अब कंपनी, हाँ, कंपनी would give them dividend. So that dividend is of the shareholders, and shareholder can be anyone. Shareholder can be an individual also, can be another company also, can be an HUF also. ये Companies Act में you must have studied कि anyone can be a shareholder. जरूरी नहीं है कि shareholder एक human being होना चाहिए. It can be an artificial person also. But yes, every artificial person is represented. What did I use the word? Represented by an individual only. Because sign करने के लिए तो कोई बंदा चाहिए, right? तो वो represent करते हैं companies को, या represent करते हैं shareholders, represent करते हैं कोई भी artificial person को. Like कर्ता represents HUF, right? वैसे companies are represented by the managing director. इसका कोई एमडी होगा जो इंडिविजुअल होगा, राइट? हु विल साइन ऑल द डॉक्यूमेंट्स ऑन बिहाफ ऑफ द कंपनी. सो इसका मतलब ये नहीं कि एमडी इज अ कंपनी. नो, एमडी इज जस्ट रिप्रेजेंटिंग द कंपनी. सो कंपनी इज अ सेपरेट टैक्सेबल पर्सन, and the corporates, even if is invested by shareholders are separate tax person, company is a separate tax person. कंपनी अपनी इनकम पे टैक्स देगी, शेयर होल्डर अपनी इनकम पे टैक्स देंगे. कंपनी को इनकम कौन सी होगी? जो उसके बिजनेस से या उसके इन्वेस्टमेंट से इट इज कमिंग. शेयर होल्डर्स को क्या इनकम हो सकती है? जो शेयर होल्डर्स इन्वेस्ट करके वो इनकम ले रहे. ठीक है. सो एवरी पर्सन इज अ डिफरेंट टैक्सेबल एंटिटी. सिमिलरली देयर इज फर्म. फर्म एज इन पार्टनरशिप फर्म. फर्म एज इन पार्टनरशिप फर्म. तो एक फर्म को इनकम टैक्स में रिकॉग्नाइज होने के लिए पार्टनरशिप एक्ट 1932 में दे हैव टू गेट देमसेल्फ रजिस्टर्ड. अब पार्टनरशिप क्या है? कंपनी, अगर वही 6 लोग आके कंपनीज एक्ट में खुद को रजिस्टर करा ले, दे विल फॉर्म अ कंपनी. यस, लिटिगेशन ज्यादा है, कंप्लायंसेस ज्यादा है. व्हेन instead of forming a company, they form a unit and get themselves registered as a partnership or as a firm under a partnership act. They are called a firm. So X and Y and Z 3 लोग थे, तीनों ने 1 लाख डाल के एक फर्म बना ली, which is called XYZ Associates. Now, whatever business is run under the common name of XYZ Associates. Now, X, Y, and Z are individual in their individual capacity, but they are also partners of the firm. They are also partners, and partners come with a term called part owners. Part owners. अगर इन दोनों words को मैं combine कर दूं तो वो word बन जाता है partner. So they are the part owner. थोड़ा हिस्सेदारी है उनका firm में. They formed a firm and now they're running a common business under the name of the firm, so that expertise of each partner, clientage of each partner can give each other the benefit. So अगर मैं firm का definition पढ़ूं partnership act में, if you have studied in your foundation level, partnership is a relation between 2 person or more than 2 person who have agreed to share the profits. इन्होंने agree करा है to share the profits in the profit sharing ratio for a business carried on by all or any one of them acting for all, and they have entered into a partnership agreement. So partnership firm का essence क्या है? उसका agreement. That agreement has to be registered in the Partnership Act. उस agreement में it would be written what is the capital, what is the condition, who would be the working partner, what would be the profit sharing ratio, what would be the salary, everything is bounded by that agreement. So firm again is a separate tax entity. Just like HUF has co-partners and members and karta, company has shareholders to manage and MD to manage it. Firm has partners. यहाँ पे पार्टनरशिप एक्ट में आपने पढ़ा होगा कि इनका लाइबिलिटी सेवरली एंड जॉइंटली होता है, मतलब सब सेवरली एंड जॉइंटली लाइबल है. कंपनीज में द लाइबिलिटी इज ओनली रिस्ट्रिक्टेड टू द शेयर, बट even if the liability is severally and jointly, but for the income tax purpose, they are separate tax individual, and firm is a separate tax individual, separate tax person. So firm would pay tax on its income, X, Y, and Z respectively would pay tax on their income. Firm का profit इनमें divide होगा, right? But firm ने अगर tax दे दिया उस profit पे, X, Y, Z would not give that tax again. वो उनका इनकम तो है, बट दे विल नॉट पे टैक्स ऑन इट. ओके. अब फॉर्म में एलएलपी भी आता है, लिमिटेड लाइबिलिटी पार्टनरशिप एक्ट में भी अगर आप रजिस्टर्ड हो तो यू विल आल्सो देन बी कॉल्ड एज फॉर्म. फॉर्म इंक्लूड्स बोथ पार्टनरशिप फॉर्म एंड एलएलपी. यहां तक कोई डाउट? सन इन लॉ मेंबर होगा बट वो को पार्टनर नहीं होगा. फर्म एंड कंपनी, फर्म अगर 7 लोग मिलके कैपिटल डाल के अपने आप को कंपनीज एक्ट में इनकॉर्पोरेट कराते, ये फॉर्म ऑफ कंपनी. कंपनी अगर आप नहीं इनकॉर्पोरेट करा के बट एक अग्रीमेंट के थ्रू पार्टनरशिप में जाते हो एंड उस पार्टनरशिप को पार्टनरशिप एक्ट में यू गेट इट रजिस्टर, दैट इज कॉल्ड अ फर्म. Section 8 companies liable to pay tax or not? See, generally they are not, but if they are under the, if they follow the objectives which they are bound to follow, if they are ultimately earning profit, then they have to pay tax on it. Yes, two siblings are very valid question, सर्वांशु. 2 siblings हैं, उन्होंने डिसाइड किया कि हम इक्वल पैसा डाल के अब उसे पार्टनरशिप फॉर्म बनाना चाहते हैं. यस, बट उसको रजिस्टर कराना पड़ेगा पार्टनरशिप एक्ट में, देन ओनली अ फॉर्म वुड बी लीगली आइडेंटिफाइड. सी, इट्स टोटली योर चॉइस. आप 5 लोग हो, you are 5 people. Now it is totally your choice whether you have to decide whether you want to start a company or whether you want to start a firm. दोनों का there are different tax benefits, there are different tax scenarios, there are different litigations. Companies different compliances. Companies में compliances अलग है because Companies Act also demand compliances. कंपनी को लोन मिलना easy है, firm के लिए different part है. So not just tax, deciding factors can be other things also. Other factors also, because कुछ benefit companies को मिलते हैं, schemes, कुछ schemes सिर्फ companies को मिलती है, government की schemes. So whenever you want to decide which business model you want to choose to run your business, you have to take care of other factors also. अब companies के लिए tax rates थोड़ा कम है, firm के लिए tax rate is flat 30%. Companies के लिए there are some benefits, firm के लिए there is no benefit, but firm gets section 40 presumptive taxation benefit, companies do not. So it's like a balance which we have to strike about which form of business you want to start. And अगर आपको siblings हो, आपको अपना अपना business करना है, then you are a sole proprietor. Sole proprietor is an individual. ठीक है? So whenever all these factors have to be taken in mind, what form of business you want to do. but you cannot, siblings can find, obviously 5 लोग not related cannot find, form an HUF for sure. ये नहीं हो सकते we are a family, no. Yes, shareholder will pay tax on dividend. Earlier there was not, but there was additional tax which was paid by the company. But now, since additional tax is removed, shareholder have to pay tax. LLP and partnership for the purpose of the term firm are same, but LLP is governed by the LLP Act. Partnership is governed by the Partnership Act. HUF का कोई deed नहीं होता बेटे. Family is always there, so there is no deed as such. Tushar, you can say companies are a good choice, but companies has compliances. वहाँ पे ROC filings है, MCA compliances है. So it's not always easy. Then you are, if you increase a business even by some part, you have to get your audit done. So it's a balance you always have to choose. राहुल, it is not important. अभी वो सब चीजें is just for your plain understanding, okay? Upasana, yes, definitely. Just wherever there is a request to revise it, I try to revise it. Otherwise, I'll stick to English only. Don't worry. Simran Jyot, I will come to that. Don't worry. Partners will pay just like companies में Mamta, companies में shareholders is paying tax on their income. Company would pay tax on its income. Similarly, firm would pay tax on firm का income. Whatever investments, whatever businesses are run in the firm's name, firm उस पे tax देगी. Whatever incomes are there for the partners, partners would pay tax on it. But yes, if the firm has paid tax on the profits, partner would not pay tax again on that profit. LLP और पार्टनरशिप फॉर्म में डिफरेंट क्या है? बस LL पार्टनरशिप फॉर्म is an old concept which has been going on for years since 1932. If you see, it's even before independence the act was there. It is going on and on. So वहां पे बस ये है कि जो partnership law के according the liabilities severally and jointly liable. That means even one makes a mistake, it is the mistake of all. बट LLP में यू आर नॉट सिविली जॉइंटली लाइबल. जितना आपका कमिटमेंट है ओनली दैट मच यू आर लाइबल. सो LLP इज लाइक अ मोर सिक्योर्ड thing, but again LLP में थोड़ी compliances are more as compared to partnership form. Partnership form is very easy to be formed. LLP के लिए थोड़ा compliances are more. Ethel, I'm coming to it. Okay, now let's move forward to AOP BOI. Now, what is AOP and BOI? Again, I said 4 people decided they had capital. If they decide to form a company, they have to get registered under the Companies Act. So whatever they would form would be a company. People would be different, company would be different. They do not want to go for company. They think that they would register themselves in the Partnership Act. So when they register themselves in the Partnership Act, they are collectively known as firm. Individually, they are individual person only, right? But they do not want to form a company. They do not want to form a firm. They just want to do a business happily. अब वो क्या करे? वो common venture which they would be running, even if they are not registered under a particular act, that common venture or that voluntary will to come together and work, that is called an AOP, association of person. Association of person. अब association मतलब coming together to do something, associate करना. Person हमने पढ़ा है, person का category क्या है? Individual, HUF, AOP, BOI, company, firm, etc. So when 2 or more person are coming together to form a particular, for some common sharing of common purpose or for some common action. And they're not getting themselves registered under either Companies Act or Partnership Act or LLP Act, but they have some common ventures. So they have some common thought or some common purpose or some common sharing of profit. Then they're called an AOP. They're called an AOP. So if X, Y, Z come together, put in some funds, or was if एक suppose करो, they have just come, there is no concept of going concern also necessarily. They have just come to form a building. उनको एक building बनानी है और उसके बाद X का ऑफिस खुद का, Y का खुद का, Z का खुद का. Common purpose is to form a building. उस building से maybe some rental income can come. अब this or some common project has to be fulfilled together. अब एक common project के लिए they formed an association. They do not want to get themselves in partnership, registered as a partnership firm or as a company. It's for some particular time. So for a particular time when they're coming together, they would be collectively called as AOP. Up collectively, whatever they are doing would be done under AOP, and whatever income comes would be the income of the AOP. Hence, AOP is again a separate tax entity here. And XYZ, who are part of the AOP, would be called as members. अगर XYZ तीनों मिलके company form करते, they would have been shareholders and company would be a separate taxable entity. If XYZ तीनों मिलके firm form करते, then firm is for a going concern aspect, and they are carrying on a particular business for together to share the profits. Okay, then they would have been a firm. Whatever they form collectively would be called as firm, and they would be the partner. But if they're not getting incorporated under any act, they're just coming for a particular venture, for some common purpose, then they are collectively called as AOP, and collectively name पे XYZ personally जो कर रहे हैं individual, but collectively name पे whatever they're doing is under the name of AOP, and XYZ would be the members of the AOP. So can I say company has shareholders, partnership firm has partners, AOP has members. Okay. Like trust, NGO or a trust. Common objective can be earning profits and cannot be earning profit. Can be any objective. Yeah, cooperative societies or NGOs. These are all your AOP and BOI, guys. These are all your AOPs and BOI, because you cannot classify them as your company. They are not formed under Companies Act. You cannot say them as a partnership firm. So फिर क्या classify करोगे AOP, BOI? Because one thing is pretty common. They would be a common purpose. So association is a very big meaning. Coming together is also an association. So association of different types of person is AOP. मैम दोनों में फर्क क्या है? दोनों association है. When only individual comes together, they are BOI. When different types of person come together, they are AOP. और different types of person मतलब it's nowhere written in the law. अब suppose Mr. X and ABC Limited मिलके, if they are forming, can they form a partnership firm? Yes, they can form a partnership firm. Then ABC Limited would be a partner and Mr. X would be a partner. Provided they get themselves registered under the Partnership Act. Can Mr. X and ABC Limited मिलके company form कर सकते हैं? Yes. Person मिलके, any person मिलके, they can form the company also. Then in that case, Mr. X would be a shareholder and ABC Limited would also be a shareholder. Okay. अब Mr. X and ABC Limited आते हैं एक joint venture के लिए. एक joint venture के लिए, एक product के लिए. Suppose करो fintech development के लिए. अब they would be called as AOP. They would be called as AOP. एक common purpose के लिए आ रहे हैं. They're not getting themselves registered as a firm or as a company, but are running something, and that can be a business, that can be profit oriented, that can be anything. Common objective होना चाहिए. Then they would be called as AOP. हाँ, अगर मिस्टर एक्स एंड मिस्टर वाई आए तो वो बीओवाई बन जाएगा। खाली इंडिविजुअल्स आ रहे हैं, एसोसिएट कर रहे हैं, इंडिविजुअल बीओवाई। हाँ, इंडिविजुअल्स आए, फॉर्म की तरह रजिस्टर्ड हुए, तो पार्टनरशिप फॉर्म एंड दे आर द पार्टनर्स। ओके, बस ये स्मॉल स्मॉल लाइन ऑफ डिफरेंस है। नेक्स्ट फाइनल टर्म इज कॉल्ड लोकल अथॉरिटी। लोकल अथॉरिटी गाइस क्या होते हैं? दे आर म्युनिसिपल कैंटनमेंट्स, बोर्ड, डिस्ट्रिक्ट बोर्ड्स, और any what you say any legal authority which is given a status by the government is called local authority, like MCD. Delhi mein MCD is there, Mumbai mein BMC, they are called local authority. Then last mein guys there is a term called artificial juridical person. Artificial juridical person. Artificial, not natural. Juridical person matlab they are some sort of separate entity in the eyes of law. They can be born not under Companies Act, not under Partnership Act. They are born under their specific acts or specific law. जैसे बार काउंसिल, जैसे यूनिवर्सिटीज, these are your artificial juridical person. Delhi University is an artificial juridical person. Bar Council of India is an artificial juridical person. Certain types of councils, like medical council, is an artificial juridical person. They are governed by different eye of law, different law, and they are separate entity. But for you people at your level and having a very thorough understanding of individuals, HUF, companies, and firm, specifically these four are extremely important. Are extremely important because individual and HUF se related computation is there, everything is there, so you should have an understanding of it. Companies के लिए there would be certain provisions which would be referred, and firms के लिए भी so and so. नेक्स्ट लेवल पे जाओगे, वहां पे जाके एज इन फाइनल लेवल पे एओपी का कॉम्पिटिशन, ट्रस्ट का कॉम्पिटिशन इज देयर, देन वो उस लेवल को छोड़ते हैं। ठीक है, बट हाँ, हैविंग अ बेसिक अंडरस्टैंडिंग इज एक्सट्रीमली इंपॉर्टेंट। यहां तक किसी को कोई डाउट? अभी आई विल टेल यू अबाउट डिफरेंट टाइप्स ऑफ कंपनी एंड देन वी विल रैप अप द क्लास। AOP or BOI may not be registered under any law. They may be incorporated or not. See, definitions generally exam में नहीं लिखना होता, but हाँ, if you will write, Aishwarya, if you are writing it like as quoted in section so and so, so you are writing it exactly as quoted. You can write as per the provision, so you can make a little shift in there, but it should not deviate from the meaning. Okay. Peter, is it clear? नो बाबा ममता, पार्टनर्स एंड फर्म्स, देखो सबको टैक्स पे करना है बट खुद की इनकम पे। रिमेंबर, everyone has to pay tax, everyone is an assessee, everyone is a person, and if they have to pay tax, everyone is a taxpayer and assessee, but only on their own income. Firm would pay tax on its income. अब वो इनकम फॉर्म का कौन सा होगा? Either coming from the business which is run by the firm collectively, either coming from the investment which is in the name of firm. करेक्ट। सिमिलरली इंडिविजुअल जो खुद का उसका इनकम है, खुद की इन्वेस्टमेंट से, खुद का अर्निंग है, दे विल पे टैक्स ऑन इट। अब वो यू मेक अ कंपैरिजन ऑफ शेयर होल्डर्स एंड कंपनी के, शेयर होल्डर्स खुद की इनकम पे देंगे, कंपनी खुद की इनकम पे, पार्टनर्स खुद की इनकम पे, फर्म खुद की इनकम पे। सिमिलरली एओपी खुद की इनकम पे, मेंबर्स उनकी खुद का इनकम पे। ओके, conversions definitely happen, they can be converted into later stage, but then there are various operations of law. Income tax mein there are, Rahul, there is different operations. Companies Act mein you have to take out different operations. So there are different operations. Conversions are allowed. भविका, jointly and severally मतलब सब मिलके liable है for even if it's a default of someone else, मिलके liable है, सिर्फ अपने share के लिए नहीं, proper liable है, और उनके personal assets can also be taken for picking up the liability. TDS Jalida, I will not answer about that, sorry. हिमांशु, थोड़ा सा वेट करो, you will get a clarity on it, do not worry. Joint venture, you can say, is an AOP. Unregistered partnership को you will be terming it as an AOP only. Ritika, Dayabag and Mitrakshis, just for your understanding, you can give it a read. Usme there is nothing which you have to remember by heart, okay? Yes, ICAI is an artificial juridical person. Anjana, is it clear? Firm can also create a company, yes. एक firm और एक और person साथ में आके company बन सकते हैं, वो shareholder बन सकते हैं. Geo is a company, Baba. It is registered as a company. It is born as a company. Because investment to Tushar is yours. धीरे धीरे सब समझ आएगा. Yes, Yogovanchu. Yes, yes. Government entity, उनका एक separate statutes है, ऋषिकेश. Artificial juridical person would be those who are covered under separate statutes. More questions coming in? No by heart. Abhi at this stage, guys, to be very honest, first time है ना, at this stage having a knowledge, having an understanding is enough. पेपर में HF की डेफिनेशन लिखना नहीं आएगा, बट माय फ्रेंड्स, whenever you are writing it in further, कहीं और HF लिख रहे हो या कहीं पे भी, you should know ना what is an HF, right? You should know कि individuals and HF दोनों अलग अलग हैं, right? So उस हिसाब से we dedicated our today's class so that you know it. हाँ, assessee का definition can come. You should know कि when a person is referred, they're referring to every different type of person and not just individual. These things should be known. अभी आज का class is, again I told you at the starting, is for creating the basic, which is extremely important, creating a foundation. First point of Assessee, Anmol on it. Assessee मतलब कोई भी पर्सन जिसको टैक्स देना है या कोई सम देना है. सम कैन बी एनी फी, एनी पेनल्टी अंडर इनकम टैक्स एक्ट. कोई भी पर्सन मतलब इट कैन बी एन इंडिविजुअल ऑल्सो, it can be an HF also, it can be a company also who has to pay tax or who has to pay any sum. ठीक है? So I told you assessee में या तो कोई person who has to pay tax or any sum, but it also includes any person against whom any proceeding, any law inquiry, any law procedure is going on, any assessment procedure is going on. That is also an assessee. अब वो procedure उसकी income के लिए हो सकता है, can be for the income of the assessee, can be for the income of the other person for whom assessee is assessable. So, अगर राम का कोई income is accessible in my income, then it can be for my, it can be, the assessment can be for the income of any person for whom I am assessable, or कोई income also includes loss also. So not necessarily an assessment is going on for income. It can be for any loss also. It can be for any refund also, which is due to me or which I have claimed it. Okay. डीम्ड असेसी, अभी आप प्रोविजंस पढ़ोगे धीरे धीरे मीनाक्षी. डीम्ड असेसी मतलब, डीम्ड मतलब आप हो नहीं बट माना जा रहा है, दैट यू आर नॉट actually but you are assumed to be. So when an assessee is not, either he is not even liable to pay tax or he is not even a person jiske against proceeding is going on, but still he is assumed to be an assessee, that is called deemed assessee. What are the provisions of deemed assessee? We will read it further when you will do the other part of the chapters. What is assessee in default? Any person who has been non-compliant. He was to do something, but he did not do that. That is called assessee in default. Okay? I will definitely do that. Correct, Yogi. You can say Yoga Ishnu. You can say it like that. Okay, guys, 5 minutes more. Please focus on the screen and then quick revision. Companies क्या करती हैं? Dividend देती हैं, right? Now, company in India is divided into two parts: majorly domestic company and foreign company. Foreign company means a company which is incorporated outside India. मतलब वो Indian companies law के according नहीं, but they are incorporated as per foreign company law. So that is a foreign company. Domestic company means, domestic company would include two types of company. One is Indian company. You can take a note of it. One is Indian company. अब Indian company क्या है? Who has been incorporated as per the Indian company law. It can be Companies Act 1956. It can be Companies Act 2013. It can be any corporate act. It can be any state act which was there for the companies at any point of the time. It can be any company which is incorporated as per the company laws or corporate laws which were relevant in India. That is an Indian company. Indian company would always be a domestic company. But there is another category. A foreign company can also be a domestic company if they make arrangements to pay dividend in India. So foreign company can categorically be called a domestic company only when they make arrangements, sorry for the handwriting, to pay dividend in India. Or what is arrangements to pay dividend in India? That means, friends, 1 second. अब dividend कैसे pay होता है? First of all, it is declared in AGM. So where it should be declared in India, okay? The AGM should happen in India. Secondly, in whatever account it is going, those should be in India. That is called arrangements to pay dividend in India. ठीक है? So जहाँ पे वो declare हो रहा है and वो जो payment हो रहा है, that is in India. Then a foreign company can be called as domestic company. So when a foreign company makes arrangements to pay dividend in India, and by arrangements, not only payment, but also the declaration, then that foreign company is called the domestic company. Clear? Again, this category is important, division of domestic and foreign, because rules differ for domestic company, for foreign company. Okay? So आज हमने क्या पढ़ा? पहले तो हमने 15-20 minutes we focused on understanding that what the new scheme is, what can be the possibilities coming from the new scheme, what is the marks division. Then we started with understanding the basic concepts, what all is there in the chapter. We understood about our tax framework, our economy framework. We understood about the income, how we would be studying income tax, or how rather one should study income tax. That is from the components which we have to take care when you're studying Income Tax Act, income tax rules, circular notifications, Finance Act, judicial pronouncements, and your, what is, basi. Then we came to the understanding interest कि एक्ट को पढ़ने के लिए what are subsections, what are clauses, what are subclauses, what are proviso, what are explanation. ठीक है. Then we moved on to understanding your applicability of Finance Act, which is 2023 for you. We moved on to understanding of different important definitions. What is assessee? What is assessment? What is person? And person may be understood all different types of person: individual, HF, company, AOP, BOI, forms, local authorities, and artificial juridical person. Why we dedicated 30-40 minutes to it? Because they would actually help us further understanding the provisions, and categorization of different types of person is extremely important. And companies, where what different types of companies are there. This is what we did today. Now in the next class, we'll be strictly starting with the meaning of previous year assessment year and tax rates and agricultural income at the end, because agriculture income and integration of agriculture income we'll do together. Okay, any of your doubt which is unanswered, please ask it again. I'll be very happy to answer it. And again, I will say, guys, slowly take time to do one thing at a time. आज एक ही क्लास में सब कुछ नहीं समझा होगा, but I hope today's class was some value addition to your knowledge. This class specifically, which is today's, exam perspective से you will say direct question नहीं आएगा, but trust me, this would give you a clarity for future that what actually these particular things are. Panchayat comes under local authority. Homework may, if you want to ask, guys, please do read from your first part, which is 1.3 till 1.10, and computation abhi do not read that because it is not required to be studied. Then 1.21 se lekhe do study till 1.28. इनकम का डेफिनेशन, हाँ, इनकम का डेफिनेशन इज फॉर 22 क्लॉजेस. उसमें डिफरेंट टाइप्स ऑफ इनकम है, विच इज नॉट नेसेसरी अभी, बट डू रीड अबाउट कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ इनकम. व्हाट इज कैपिटल रिसीट, व्हाट इज रेवेन्यू रिसीट, व्हाट इज ग्रॉस रिसीट, व्हाट इज ड्यू बेसिस, व्हाट इज एप्लीकेशन ऑफ इनकम, एंड your fixed capital and circulating capital. So do read page number 1.30, 1.31, 32, 33. I want these to be pretty much clear, and do read India ka definition. So approximately by 1.35, you have to do everything except for the computation of income. Please read each particular word, highlight the important words, and learn. Okay. Subsections will have clauses. Yeah, central government and state government are also person. Actually, I believe they plan to finish it up till March, definitely. Mamta, again, jab ek section, this is for you because you said it in Hindi. Whenever a section is, every section would be divided into different parts. जब हर एक पार्ट इंडिपेंडेंट है, मतलब दूसरे पार्ट को समझने के लिए या पहले पार्ट को समझने के लिए मुझे दूसरा पार्ट नहीं रेफर करना, या दूसरे पार्ट को समझने के लिए पहला पार्ट नहीं रेफर करना, सो ईच पार्ट इज कॉल्ड क्लॉज. Just like in section 10 and section 2, वहां पे हर part is a different clause because they are not related. But when in common, you go to any section and you have to refer to entire reading because they are interrelated, they are called subsection. Domestic company में guys Indian company आती है, यानी company which is incorporated in India as per the Indian laws, and foreign company भी आती है only if they are making an arrangements to pay taxes in to pay dividend in India. So कादम्बरी HUF में डॉटर होगी, वो पार्टनर रहेगी. अगर उसकी शादी हो जाएगी तो she will be the co-partner still, and she will also be the member of her husband HUF. Valdemani, is it clear? Thank you so much, Amar. I hope you had a great time. Let's meet in 1 week again, and by then, please do not leave your concepts loose, and do not worry. You people will surely succeed. Thank you so much. See you in the next class.